We about to start it up, it's the anthem. That right, big rings got me handsome. Hold them up like we came for the ransom. I'm in the field, 2-minute drill. Highlight reel, let's review, what's the deal, okay? Watching footage going out of control. Buckle up, we got an hour to go, so let's go, that's straight heat. Ain't no chillin' around here. Back that back, Nat Chance, how we feelin' around here? Got my whole squad in the building around here. If my name ain't on it, then I really don't care. Come on. 3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. Nothing but rants. On the beat, hey. Yeah.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guide Network, brought to you by our friends over at Hard Rock Bet. It is Thursday night, 8 o'clock. We are one man down, but a new edition you'll find out about here in just a second. Last show, best show, as we always say, on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. It's an absolutely loaded show for you guys tonight. We got plenty of news to catch up on in the world of college football. Apparently, Christian Kirby has found a new curse in college football, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I can't take full credit for the curse, but it's something I stumbled across on Twitter.
As someone who despises one of the parties involved in this curse, I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. We also have bracket records, as you can see by the title of tonight's broadcast. All right, we got some folks and some football programs that we think might bust up some of these college football bracket or playoff brackets that we're all mandatorily required to put out. Most insane college football stories of all time. I'm excited about this one. Some laughs to be had tonight. Maybe at the expense of some of the people involved. And we're also going to get to a story that we were supposed to get to last night, which is the perfect Week 0 slate. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you are telling a friend about this place. 103.3 thousand subscribers on this here network. Jonathan is out, Christian. Jonathan is out.
He's gone.
But it might be a classic Wally Pipp story. You know the story about Wally Pipp?
I've heard this before, but I need a reminder.
Yeah, so Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the New York Yankees. And he was sick one day. He was just like, I'm not going to show up. Joe DiMaggio plays next and just immediately wipes his career away. Go ahead. I knew I was wrong with who it was. Was it Mickey Mantle? Jeffrey, who was it?
It's the luckiest man alive. It's Lou Gehrig.
Yes, Lou Gehrig. And there is the introduction to our special guest tonight. It is one Jeffrey Sentell. I think Rusty Manziel, another friend of the show, said it best about Jeff Sentell. If Jeff happens to outlast me, my wife already knows that Jeff will write my eulogy. All right, I think Jeff is the best college football writer that we have going. In fact, Jeff's the only guy I know that when he writes a 4,000-word diatribe about your local high school talent, I'm like, damn, it was only 4,000 words? Like, I was expecting 4,200. I was wanting a little bit more. Jeff, thanks for coming in tonight.
I think the pitch count now stays around 2,000 words max.
They've limited you?
No, but I just got to get work done, man. But it's one of those things when a friend asks you, and Brooks and I have been talking about it for a while about, hey, man, when can we come on the show? Listeners, your own crew have been like, your community has been like, hey, man, come on, can you get Sentell on? And after a good dude asks you so many times, you got to make time. So that's why I'm here today.
Hell yeah.
And I think the only guy that I will just concede, and now that I get older with 2 kids, I got to get the hair tips, man. How you holding on to that as long as you have?
Dude.
I mean, it's dynamite.
What's going on over there?
What's the trick? Is it less stress in life? Like, what is the trick to a hair like yours?
I think it's when your kids get a little bit older.
Yeah.
And they're not as dependent on you. But also, let's be honest, you're covering a team like Georgia, where you don't get a lot of gray hairs covering Georgia. You don't catch too many 55 to 20s in the face, and you've got to write a compelling gamer afterward. So I think that's something, and it's just good living, man.
Okay.
Good living.
I don't have kids I'm losing here. What's the explanation for that?
I was expecting genetics. I'm just blessed.
It's definitely genetics.
I can't give you any tips or any traits. It's like asking Usain Bolt, how'd you get so fast? I'm just blessed, baby.
I mean, can I sponsor drop on here? I didn't know if I could just throw free plugs out there with my secret.
Dude, when it comes to hair care products, give me all the plugs, because right now my only answer is literally plugs.
Get a lot of sleep. That's probably what you need to do. Make sure you get a lot of sleep.
The chat is saying you probably need to move your mic stand a little bit so it's better.
Yeah, it's blocking your hair apparently. So yeah,
I can do it off camera.
Yeah, help him out over there. Yeah, we have a great show for you guys planned tonight. We're gonna start as we always do with the news. Oh, Brett, friend of the show, Brent Venables gets a 6-year contract extension out there at Oklahoma. $10.5 million per year through 2031. Just a little recap for you guys. Brent Venables was 6-7, then 10-3, then 6-7, then 10-3, and now here we are, about another $62 million getting added to his bank account. Here's the deal. I don't see them going 6-7 anytime soon. And it's a lot to do with the fact that Jim Nagy has taken over general manager roles over there with the Sooners. And his contract's actually extended through 2030. So I think we're going to get these two kind of paired together for quite some time. And I think it's allowed Brent to kind of be free and get back to calling defenses, right? The 2024 season was catastrophic due to injury and piss poor quarterback play left and right out there. But, he gets this extension. 16th ranked class in 2026, and they've stepped the foot on the gas in 2027. Right now, I believe On3 has them ranked the 6th rated class in the 2027 recruiting class. And I'm a big Bo Bentley guy. I think you're a big Bo Bentley guy. And I believe you're a big Bo Bentley guy, right, Jeff?
Should have been the quarterback in the Georgia 2026 class. Should have been.
Agreed.
Because he was, I remember going down there and seeing him in Tampa. It was at an Elite 11 in Tampa. Talked to him, talked to his family, good people. And they were just like, there was only one visit they had scheduled, official visit they had scheduled, and that was to Georgia. He loved the championship pedigree. He loved the way they practiced, the way they got after it. And then Jared Curtis commits in May, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, well, we got to find a new spot. Now, he did like Oklahoma a lot, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But Georgia and him they're giving each other the eye a little bit on the recruiting trail. And, now you see what he does and what he's done. He played some great ball. He's one of those improvisers in the Stetson Bennett mold, in the Gunnar Stockton mold. So
or the Baker Mayfield mold.
Definitely that mold. Yeah.
What's funny to me about Brent Venables? That he has – and maybe this is just the Georgia fan in me, but he has completely avoided any criticisms for how he handled the Dylan Gabriel Jackson Arnold situation. Because, like you said, piss poor quarterback play. Jackson, they chose with Jackson Arnold. I remember when Dylan Gabriel transferred to Oregon, it was very much like, it's kind of we were, ushered away. That hasn't come back and affected him negatively at all. He obviously just got a great extension. So just an interesting thing to take note of.
I think it was kind of a chicken before the egg, what actually happened. I don't think there's actually been any nailed down proof of reporting and evidence that they kind of issued or ushered him out so he could, if you talk to Oklahoma people, they'll be like, well, Oregon tampered with Dylan. Sure. And that's why he left, not because Brent wanted to play Jackson Arnold. But I think a lot more of that was about injuries. They didn't have a receiver left by the end of the 2024 season out there at Oklahoma. So they could have had Dylan Gabriel or insert a 4,000-yard passer, and it wouldn't have mattered because the wide receiver core was so piss poor due to injury. But no, I'm a Brett believer because of what he does defensively. And like I said, being able to free him up, that is one of the only general managers in college football, when you talk to other people, that has basically full autonomy. And Jim won't say this, but has full autonomy over the roster. Yeah. Like, he was hired to handle the roster. He was hired to identify what recruits they were going to go after, and hired to handle all of the transfer portal additions that they were ultimately going to do. And that freed Brent up a lot to get back to being defensive play caller and handle that side of the football. And we've always been relatively negative about play callers on this channel, head coaching play callers, because it's just too many hats to wear. Yeah. But I think a lot of these guys that are maintaining this role, like Steve Sarkisian, that's why the Will Muschamp hire was so important out there at Texas, because he could just hand over the defense over there to Will, and he's even as said as much out there. So I would imagine Oklahoma fans are relatively happy about this news today. I'm sure there's some in the chat that will tell us otherwise if they are not. But no, big Brett believers over here, especially on that defensive side of the football. And I think as long as they've got the right quarterback, like we think they do, and Bo Bentley moving forward, they ought to be all right offensively. We've always said here that if they just have a pulse on the offensive side of the football, they're going to be a 9 or 10 win football team because of how great the defense is. I have no doubt about that.
They always strike me as Venables and the way he's trying to build with the inconsistencies with his teams. They're a margin of error football team. And what I mean by that is that they're so loaded and they're so schematically sound defensively that when you lose pieces on the offensive side, they don't have the depth like the Alabamas, the Texas, the Georgias does. And therefore, you don't have the players to, win that 21-17 knife fight in Starkville that you need to sometimes.
Yeah. Now, he hasn't beaten Texas yet, correct?
He beat them once.
Once? Is he 1-3 versus Texas?
I believe so. I think that was like a major upset that one year because Dylan Gabriel led them down to a game-winning drive.
Because I see our resident Texas fans in the chat happy about this. They're like, it's Christmas in Austin. I wouldn't go as far as to say that. But we'll see what it ultimately plays out to. We got some other news to hit on. And we'll be quick with this. This is more of us just letting you know about this story. Yeah. Not a lot of takes here. This is a sensitive topic. TCU safety Jacob Fields has been dismissed from the football team out there with the Horned Frogs for beating up a teammate to the point to where the teammate was ultimately hospitalized. Not good, not ideal. It happened in the locker room after practice. Jacob Fields apparently feels that he was targeted throughout fall camp. This Fields guy was a transfer from, I believe, Louisiana Tech, was an All-American last year at the mid-major level, was supposed to start at safety for them this year and has been dismissed as recently as, I believe, this last week. He claims that he was spit on throughout practices, and this boiled over into a fight during, after practice in the locker room. This is something I've never really heard of. I've heard of fights during football practices. I've heard of fights in the locker room. But it's a very controlled environment normally in football. I would imagine this happened with just those two football players in the locker room. I would hope if there were other teammates, in attendance or in the area, that they would have pulled this guy off before he got beaten enough to have to go to the hospital. This is a crazy story.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and obviously there will be more details that come out about it eventually.
Oh, he's facing charges.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's already been arrested. So,
100% a locker room thing for me. Like if this happened when there were even 4 people in the locker room, even managers, trainers, whatever you want to say, GAs. Normally that stuff gets policed, and those fights in football that happen on the field, they happen afterward. But like when you start getting 10, 20 seconds in a first round, 3 rounds of Rocky Balboa, I mean, that's not going to happen unless, and if it is, if there's anybody in there, that's a reflection on the chemistry of the team, I believe.
Yeah, 100%. Sonny Dykes, the head coach of TCU, reporting I saw said he was unaware of anything boiling over, anything like this happening. I would imagine this, like I said, I would hope for TCU's culture and locker room that nobody was there and that this is just this guy going nuts on one football player. If there were other people in attendance and they didn't pull this guy up off of him, we got even bigger issues than just an assault on campus. So insane story. Let's stay in the Big 12 with this monster deal. We've talked a lot about this Big 12 monster deal and how the Big 12 has been absolutely hosed by this monster deal. For those of you who don't know, $20 million to the entire conference, which boils down to about, I think after taxes or after fees and after the league takes what they need to take, about $900,000 to each individual member school. They get patches on the jerseys. They get logos on the field. And every single time during a television broadcast, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, whatever is televised in the Big 12, it is Monster Energy's Big 12 matchup between Texas Tech and Houston for $20 million. Felt like they got absolutely hosed. And now, apparently, local doctors are sending letters and requests to the Big 12 to stop this partnership with Monster because Monster Energy drinks are dangerous to the youth. Did you read this today?
Yeah, I mean, fair on the doctors to say that. I think that's fine. I
wonder when Jay Will started drinking White Monster.
Probably a long time ago.
You think it was in his youths?
Those Big Monster and the big caffeine has probably had their claws in him for a while. So
big caffeine's had its claws in stretch for a minute.
Dude. Poor guy.
I mean, it's crazy. It's almost mainstream now. I was driving by a McDonald's. Not that my kids do Happy Meals anymore, but like you're driving by McDonald's and they have a Red Bull drink now at McDonald's. It's like a Red Bull energy dragon fruit type thing. And I'm just like,
that's gross.
Energy drinks are a big deal, though. It's coffee everywhere.
I don't want to mess my hair up with Centel in the studio today, but I would ask for the tinfoil hat theory during this take. You ready?
Ooh, let's hear it.
Here's my tinfoil hat take. Brett Yormark planted this story. He's got buyer's remorse on this Big 12 monster deal. He realizes now they got hosed, and the only way out is to get the team doctor of the Houston Rockets to write an article and get all this hubbub about how Monster energy drinks are dangerous to the youth.
I like it. I think that there's certainly probably some buyer's remorse going on. I don't know if making it an even worse move for your business is the way to get out of it, but I certainly would probably think that there probably is some buyer's remorse going on for Brett Yormark.
I would hope so. There was also leakage from the LinkedIn space of the world that the Big 12 is apparently seeking a new person to handle their league-wide deals. That job is now available, which made the internet believe that whoever struck this monster deal was fired. But I'm pretty sure, based off Yormark's comments at the Big 12 Media Days, it seemed like he was kind of taking full responsibility for this groundbreaking deal that they got absolutely hosed on.
He was very happy about the deal at the time.
Yeah, he was.
First of all, I'm really happy that you guys have the type of show that cares about the health concerns of Americans
Yes,
everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But like to me, I'm going Wall Street Journal on this story. To me, that number should be 45 million.
Yes.
Because what is 900,000 per school going to get you these days? Is it going to get you a coordinator in the Big 12? Maybe. Is that going to get you a 4.5-star wide receiver? Maybe. Like to me, I think it was so underbid. And then the other thing I think about is what you're doing with Monster with this new wave of headlines is you're giving them even more publicity and payoff for that deal.
Well, you know, Jeff, it was worth the $20 million because they're going to get national and worldwide awareness of the Big 12 because Monster promised to put the Big 12 logo on the back of their cans. So that's why Yormark only took $20 million because Monster's a national brand and they're going to slap these logos on the back. I think we're like 3 months into this deal, though, and I'm not a big Monster guy. Maybe Jay Will's in the chat and he can let us know. Jay Will, are they putting the Big 12 logo on the back of the cans yet? I don't think they are. I haven't seen one, and it's been a minute since I've drinking a White Monster, but maybe.
How far away are we from a corporation or a company sponsoring positions? Like, you know, you could say that the Monster defensive tackle, the position that Elijah Griffith plays for Georgia or David Stone at Oklahoma, that's now the Monster position on the defensive side of the ball. Like, how far away are we from that?
Yeah.
Instead of the star position, it's the Red Bull star.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a star, like an energy drink back?
Rockstar.
Rockstar,
yeah. It's the Rockstar now instead of the star position in the nickel.
It.
I like this. Speaking of sponsors, let's give some love to our premier sponsor tonight and for the rest of the season, our friends over at Hard Rock Bet. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor over at Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook. Rivalries, trash talk, and bragging rights are all a part of the game of college football that we all love so much. But there's one thing college football fans can all agree on. Hard Rock Bet is easy, safe, and trusted with thousands of 5-star reviews. You can back your favorite football team all season long from the couch, hanging out at the tailgate, or even inside the stadium, especially for our friends down there in the state of Florida. Hard Rock Bet knows college football in Florida. They're Florida's only legal betting app on college football. But you don't have to live in the state of Florida to join the party Hard Rock Bet's got going on. They're also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan, with more states on the way. So if you don't have the Hard Rock Bet app yet, head over to hardrock.bet/filmguide. All righty, ladies and gentlemen. So last night in the middle of the show, I'm getting tagged left and right on social media, Kirby, about this push alert that all of us college football fans got from the ESPN
I am
app.
Disappointed this wasn't a surprise for you.
Well, you know me.
Right.
I read so the audience doesn't have to. I'm plugged into the news, baby. You ain't going to sneak one up on me very often. But everybody gets a notification last night. Oklahoma State head coach Eric Morris shoots armadillo in backyard. And everybody's like, what? This is an insane story. So do you want to catch the audience up? Did I just catch them up on it with the title of the article?
The title
That's pretty
of the
much
article
the summation of what happened.
Pretty much it. When I first saw it on Twitter, like you, I thought, AI didn't happen. This is one of these, just aggregate accounts that's trying to get a rise out of someone. So this morning I was like, you know what? I wonder, and I Googled it, and my God, it's on ESPN's website. It is an actual story that legitimately happened, where the Oklahoma State head coach shot an armadillo, and for some reason ESPN felt that it was newsworthy to put in the headline.
So Eric Morris coached high school football in the state of Texas, then went and became the North Texas head coach. Now is the Oklahoma State head coach. Sounds like he's a pretty sharp shooter.
He must be. He hit the armadillo.
Probably well versed. Do you have to hit the armadillo? Does it have to be a headshot? Do they have? They probably don't have enough gear and protection around them to stop a bullet in the body.
I would say it probably depends on the caliber that you're using.
Yeah.
So
can't like rock a .22 to the body of an armadillo. It'll probably bounce off the shell. Is what you're telling me?
Maybe.
They got a pretty hard casing. I
don't know if it's a bulletproof casing. 22 would probably still do some significant damage to it, but
all right. So what this got my brain to stirring is top 10 craziest stories we've ever had in college football. Ooh. And this started as a top 5 list, and then I started recruiting some help from Discord and from Twitter, and it couldn't just stop at 5. It had to go on to 10, and it's beyond 10. I've got an OLI. How about that, Kirby? You ready for this OLI?
Oh, an OLI shocker.
Yeah, I know, right?
Let's hear it.
These are stories that did not make the top 10. OLI number 1. This is known as Schiano Sunday. Do you remember Schiano Sunday?
Is this when it was about to be announced that Tennessee was going to hire Greg Schiano, and the fan base started a rumor about something pretty gross?
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Dating back to his time at Penn State.
That's
also painted the rock up there in Knoxville. Schiano sucks, not going to have it. It's the only football program I've ever seen that's outrage was so loud that the athletic director was like, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. We probably shouldn't hire this guy. You know what we're going to do? We're going to hire Jeremy Pruitt.
They thought they got them one.
Oh, they thought they had a football coach.
They were so happy with that decision. So I do remember that. That was wild times.
Now, the other one, the other OLI, one of many, I'm glad Jeff was here because he corrected me on it. I'd always been told it was Charlie Trippy that drove the motorcycle on top of the steg.
Jake Scott, sir. And I tell you what, talk about there was a profile. First of all, he was Super Bowl MVP. He was part of the perfect season for the Miami Dolphins, the one that they have champagne for every year when the last unbeaten team loses. But he was an absolute all-SEC safety. But he was a wild card. He had a mean streak. It's funny. There's one of my favorite stories I've ever read. And it is a sports writer, Dave Hyde, who works for the Palm Beach Post and the Miami Herald. He goes out, obviously he's a former Dolphin. He goes out to Hawaii where Jake Scott relocated and cut all ties with all football everywhere and just caught up with a guy like that and spent a week or two. He had to hunt him down because they didn't even know him as a former football player. He was just this guy. And you want to talk about one of the most unique players in Georgia football history. That's an urban legend. Did he actually go up the side of Stegman? Did they change the rules?
Well, didn't they used to have those big arches that would lead up to the top.
And there's gates on it now where I remember years ago, they put like a gate at the bottom of it. So you couldn't really try to attempt that again. But
so it must have happened.
Yeah.
If they put preventative measures to make sure it didn't happen again, I would assume it did.
I would have loved to have seen Coach Dooley talking to Jake Scott about that because that would have just been some incredible leadership and wisdom about how he's like, motorcycles rolling on top of the, and some people might say that's just the University of Georgia throughout the years. They've got one guy that newspaper headlines. I don't think that one made the headline whatsoever, but listen, just don't think about Jake Scott because of that story. Jake Scott was one of, I would say, probably the best 20 Georgia defensive backs of all time, maybe even top 10. He was that good.
Another OLI. You remember that time Mike Gundy, starting running back, got a DUI, and then he went to Big 12 Media Days, and he was like, Buddy got arrested for having like 3 beers. Who hasn't drank 12 beers at the golf course and driven home? I've done that 1,000 times.
I think 1,000 times was the quote.
Verbatim.
From
I've done that 1,000 times, says Mike Gundy.
Boost Cruise Gundy.
Wonder what Tommy Romo would have to say about that.
Probably shouldn't do it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Might get got. OLI probably should have made the top 10, but the top 10 was tight by the time I got to this story. Did you know that in 2021, a homeless man practiced with the USC Trojans for a day?
I didn't hear about this. No, I did not know about
this. This is reported by Yahoo Sports and other confirmed reports from USC beat writers. A homeless man snuck onto the practice field, caught punts, hung out, did some stuff with the team that day, ate at the local diner with the football players. I think it was shorts. I think it was shorts and t-shirts because you would
what a ricochet that USC just caught.
You would notice the guy without pads and be like, "What's up with Buddy? Why he got his pads on that day?" But no, set in on went and got post-practice therapy. Went in, got all the food, set in on the jacuzzis, took a nap in the facility, and then they finally figured out, we got a homeless man practicing with us today.
He had to have been doing good in the drill to make it all the way through.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
honestly, kind of impressive.
For sure. I feel like if, like, the average American went out there, a head coach or a position coach would be able to be like, what is this guy doing?
What's Buddy doing out here?
How did he get on our team, coach? Like, what's going on here? And then someone will be like, wait, who is that? But the fact that you made it through a practice and we're in the facility is crazy.
Last OLI I got. Monte Teo getting catfish before catfishing was even a thing. I mean, we didn't even have a term for it yet.
The OG, like, catfish story. Yeah. I mean, I thought this would make the top 10, honestly.
And she died.
Well, she never existed.
Yeah, but she died. And he was in the Heisman campaign for it. They had a ceremony, like a burial ceremony at Notre Dame for him, with all the lays, had the TV networks come out, and the whole student body came out to support Monte Teo and his dead girlfriend that didn't exist. Insane story.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to besmirch Manti Te'o too much. The girl...
he was a victim. He was a victim.
He was certainly a victim. And I think that time has been very understanding of that. But, yeah, that was wild.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 10. You remember that time Ole Miss lost a football game because a player peed in the end zone?
Legendary. Black Friday.
Yeah.
I was Black Friday shopping when that happened.
I mean, you can't even slime nowadays on first downs, let alone take a pee in the end zone.
Yeah, no.
Jeff, did you know that? The Carson Beck celebration, first down celebration, is a 15-yard penalty now?
Yeah, that's done. And I mean, the thing about the receiver, Elijah Moore, Georgia really wanted that guy. He was and listen, he can ball, man. He can get separation. He's still grabbing a check in the league right now. I believe Manti Teo, again, he had a long career in the NFL too. So you've got that. Now, that's one of those things where you're just like, can the Egg Bowl get any weirder? Well, it just got weirder.
Incredible.
Number 9 on the list, probably criminally low on this list. That one time Michigan's head coach ordered Plan B to the facility via DoorDash. We don't got to linger very long, but that happened.
Has it been confirmed that's happened, or was that one? It was
in a believable source report.
I think that whole situation just deserves to be on this list because it is
Sharon Moore,
insane. The Sharon Moore situation.
Number 8, a friend of the show. Friend of the show.
What'd they do?
That one time Hugh Freeze coached a football game from a hospital gurney in the press box.
Hugh Freeze is, I would say, not a friend of the show.
If
Hugh Freeze watches this show, he is not a friend.
You don't think me and Hugh Freeze are going to exchange pleasantries if I ever run into him?
Probably not.
Probably not. No. Yeah, you're right.
But
all my homies hate Hugh Freeze. Number 7, that time Bobby Petrino got in a motorcycle accident with his assistant/mistress. And we got the neck brace.
Yeah, first of all, whoever is the SID or the PR people at Arkansas that let him go out there in the neck brace.
And the scabs all over his face.
I mean, that is a photo that will last the test of time.
Tinfoil hat theory. It wasn't a motorcycle accident. His wife beat the hell out of him.
I mean, that could happen.
Number 6, simply put, I poisoned them trees, Paul.
No further context needed.
Don't even need it.
Elite story. Legendary. Perfectly personifies what it's like to be an SEC fan.
Honestly, one of the last elite ESPN documentaries we've had, the SEC story on that. Have you ever watched it? On Harvey Updike before he went to prison?
Is it Harvey Updike or is it just the Alabama-Auburn rivalry in general? Because I remember them also covering like the tornado that came from Tuscaloosa.
Maybe it was just like a 15-minute spill on Harvey.
Yeah, but no.
But they had a sit-down with him in his home and where he reveals that he's such an Alabama fan that he named his daughter first name Allie, middle name Bama.
Yeah,
Alabama Updike. Wonder what she's doing right about now. I hope she's doing well.
I wish her well.
He's still in prison?
He's dead.
Yeah. And that's the herbicide story. It was really weird. I was living in Birmingham, working at the AL.com and the Birmingham News at the time when that story was going. And, You caught Paul and his callers all the time about that, and that was just. I mean, certainly that needs to be dramatized in a theatrical. I'd love to see that on Broadway. You know what I mean?
I don't think the folks of New York will get that one.
They would be rhyming herbicide with in a Broadway skit. I'd love an essay.
Paul's response of, "Are they gonna die?"
Yeah, I mean,
oh, legendary. Number 5. Mike Leach leaves a fake playbook on the Texas sidelines during Red River as the Oklahoma OC. And opens the football game up 17-0 on an elite Texas football team. And I think the part of that story that's often forgot is the fact that Oklahoma lost that game.
yeah, that was wild.
Texas comes back from a 17-0 deficit.
But I think also, like, Mike Leach is such a legend, and that story is so iconic that the outcome of that game doesn't really matter either. Like, it's such one of those just urban legend stories that it doesn't really matter that they lost. R.I.P. Mike Leach.
Number 4, Woody Hayes punches a Clemson football player at the age of 65 years old right in the throat.
Elite. Have you seen this video?
Oh, yeah.
Legendary.
Oh, dude, comes up off the toes, throws his full body into it.
Yeah, I mean, gets good rotation in it.
Yeah.
Like a legitimate punch.
It's a good example of punching through the target. Don't punch two, punch through.
Exactly.
Yeah, it also ended his coaching career at 65 years.
Understandable.
Yeah.
You
Probably can't punch players.
No, you can't put the hands on.
Let's stay in Columbus, Ohio. Number 3, Ohio State football players trading bowl game and game-worn jerseys in exchange for tattoos.
First of all, this story will never happen again.
No, it won't.
They got the free cash flow to that will never be necessary again to sell the jersey in exchange for tattoos. And the jersey selling thing probably brings up a bone for a lot of people about AJ Green selling his jerseys and like stories that wouldn't even exist in the year 2026.
Number 2, and all these are just insane stories for comic relief purposes. This one made the list at number 2 because it is one of the most insane personal player stories I've ever seen and covered. Mark Herslich, the linebacker for Boston College, beat cancer, had a 70% chance of death, and comes back to play college football.
Good for him, man.
Insane. Had bone cancer.
It reminds
a rare
me of
form.
like James Conner.
James Conner as well.
Example of this, that I think like the most modern example of it. So.
And number 1, it was number 1 the moment we put this list together, Pole Assassin. You remember Pole Assassin?
Pole Assassin.
Jeff, do you remember Pole Assassin?
I do not remember this story.
Texas assistant Jeff Banks had a girlfriend whose stage name was indeed Pole Assassin. I'll let you guess what line of work she was in. She also had a pet monkey that was trained to do high fives.
A little animal monkey.
A little animal monkey. And the animal monkey, instead of giving a high five to a young trick-or-treater, actually bit the hand of the trick-or-treater, and then Jeff Banks was ultimately sued. This happened. It's a real story.
I mean, anytime you can get something from the Dollar Ballet on your fine program right now, I mean, how do you think you'd do that?
That's one of those stories that like transcends like if that happened to just any celebrity of any genre, that would be an incredible story. The fact that it's college football just makes it so much sweeter.
Absolutely.
Got to give high fours now, though, right? With we got to talk about high fours now with Jaden Daniels. He might be listening. We can't use that high five.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't have a good enough law defense team to be fighting the Jaden Daniels camp.
No, we got.
Mama's got that smoke. I don't want nothing to do with that.
That's why I stopped doing the Kirby's top 5s.
Really?
Yeah, that's why.
That's why.
Jaden Daniels was coming for me.
Jaden Daniels is coming for you. Did we leave any of them out? There's Shane Beamer breaking his foot on the bench.
Yeah, that one's more just like a goofball.
Yeah, George Pickens squirting somebody with a water bottle. That's just George being George.
I would argue that's not even the craziest thing George Pickens did while he's at Georgia.
The Georgia Tech throwing the guy in the wall.
Yeah. Legendary.
Legendary.
But that's not like a crazy story. That's just a college fight. Like that stuff happens. So I think it's a pretty good list. I think the 10 or 13 moments you picked are pretty solid there.
All right, Kirby, you've got a new curse in college football developing?
So I found this on Twitter today about, certain teams maybe not having some success, and it was really centered around one football team. The Savannah Bananas have increased tremendously in popularity. Whether or not it's a product that is for you, I think you're unable to deny how much it has grown in these last 3 years. So much so that they have started going on tours to college campuses and playing within college stadiums. last offseason, they played at Clemson. Obviously, we know that Clemson started the season ranked inside the top 10, top 15, I believe, had a devastatingly disappointing year. So now there are obviously people believing that there is a Savannah Bananas curse. You could also point to the Atlanta Braves who have hosted them multiple times inside Truist Park and have, gone on losing streaks in the recent history after them being there. So a Twitter account pointed this out and this will bode really well for the Savannah Bananas curse. Here's the list of teams that the Savannah Bananas played at this offseason. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Florida State.
Uh-oh.
North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee.
Uh-oh.
Nebraska. Iowa.
Uh,
Texas A&M.
Okay.
And Oregon. So...
Well, Oregon's going to buck that trend, I would imagine.
Yeah, but if it goes 5 for 7...
By the way, chat pointed out to a criminal omission on our crazy college football stories
What's
list.
that?
Jim McElwain snuggling a shark. Or at least his doppelganger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a crazy urban legend. It's not an actual story.
Yeah, because it's not actually him.
It's not Jim McElwain.
But man, was that one of our first viral memes of naked Jim McElwain on top of a shark?
It was a fun one.
CMU head coach, which also brings us to Connor Stallions wearing a disguise on the sideline. Anyways, this Savannah Bananas thing. Jeff, I don't mean to call you out. You strike me as a proponent of the Savannah Banana Ball. Are you a Savannah Banana watcher?
First of all, I would say that it provides a very entertaining product. Have you seen them make those catches where they're doing the flips and everything else like that?
Jeffrey, I will not have any pro banana ball conversations tonight.
I've got one thing here. This is the big Savannah Bananas take. How do you actually make the squad? Do you have to show off your acting chops, your voice chops? Do you have to show off your dance moves? Besides the fact that you can hit a hanging breaking ball and also...
What, are you trying to try out?
No, I'm just saying, what do they look
my
for?
brother tried out.
He didn't get it?
He was gonna be there and gonna be on the roster, but he had just had a kid, and his wife was like, "You're not driving down to Savannah every weekend to do this dumb stuff."
Oh, so this was
early
Yeah.
years Savannah
Yeah.
Bananas, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, the requirements are be good at baseball and have a trick. Like you have to have one little thing that you're gifted at.
Well,
But
they also
primarily you have to be pretty good at baseball.
You got dance and everything.
Yeah.
We're taking up too much airtime talking about the bananas.
I agree.
Let's not slip on that banana.
Let's move. So there you go, Jack.
Attaboy.
There you go.
Attaboy. That guy gets the show right there.
So, but yeah, no, apparently, so be on the lookout because those teams might be cursed this year because of Savannah Bananas. So just something to keep an eye on. A little short segment right there.
All right, let's actually do some real football analysis. You ready?
Let's do it.
We got college football playoff bracket busters, all right? Teams that we think are going to ruin college football playoff hopefuls, starting with a team that I think can do it week 3 in their first Big 12 matchup, none other than the Houston Cougars. Did you know, boys, that with our friends over at Hard Rock Bet, right now Texas Tech is a minus 105 favorite to win the Big 12? You have to give negative juice to bet Texas Tech to win the Big 12. That's how much of a favorite they are right now. Houston, plus 1,600. And they get them week 3. I think the best chance to get Texas Tech in conference this year is obviously going to be early in the year because Will Hammond, right? He's going to have to get worked back in after this knee injury. It sounds like he's getting back to 100%, but still, you would imagine going to be relatively rusty in those first couple of weeks when he plays college football again. How about Houston taking down Texas Tech early in the year? And I don't think Texas Tech is one of these football teams, and we're going to get into this theme a little bit tonight. They don't have a lot of room for error because of their strength of schedule. When we look at resumes at the end of the year, we're going to look at Texas Tech and we're like, wait a minute. You had the 77th ranked schedule. You had the worst schedule in Power 4 football this year, and you found a way to lose a football game? I think that 11-1 will get nixed for a 10-2 out of the Big Ten or the SEC, and that could happen as early as week 3 against the Houston Cougars. Houston, a bracket buster potentially this year. What you got for me, Curb?
I've been fairly low, a lot lower on this team than you have, but I would be shocked if they don't get one of these teams. This team plays Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma this year. The Florida Gators are going to ruin someone's season. I don't think they're on my list. I don't think they're a playoff team, but that roster is too talented for them to lose all of those games. I understand last year was a disaster, had bad quarterback play, had abysmal coaching. they'll get someone this year. I don't know who it is, but they're going to ruin something for someone.
Sounds like a big vote of confidence for Philo. Do you believe in Philo year one? Is he going to look like Gunnar year one, maybe 80% of year one? What kind of expectation, floor, ceiling do you have for Philo?
I think of Philo to be like a real passer of the football. Like, that dude can rip. I mean, hell, he's got every GHSA record that there is down here in a fine quality state of football here in Georgia. And I think that system. I mean, Jeff, he has one career start at Georgia Tech, and it was against Gardner Webb last year, and he broke the single game passing record at Georgia Tech. So, and pairing him up with Eric Singleton, who I think is going to have a reemergence here. I thought it was criminal the way that Auburn used Singleton last year. And getting him back in that buster system down there at Florida with Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown and Jaden Ball, obviously at running back. The questions about Florida are obvious. We talked about this in the local hour the other night when we previewed the SEC matchup between them and Georgia. The questions down there are all about offensive line. Like, can the offensive line be good enough to actually take advantage of the skill sets that they have on the outside and at running back? I think from a wide receiver and running back standpoint, Florida's as good or better than pretty much anybody in college football right now. With those three wide receivers, that running back, it's just about whether or not the offensive line is good enough and can Philo be what I think Philo is. But what does give me a little cause for concern is the fact that this quarterback battle has been dragged out as long as it has. I'm not trying to demean Tramel Jones, but I had a lot of stock in Philo this offseason. So, yeah, I'm a believer in Philo and, more importantly, Buster, what he could do offensively.
I feel like you just described Florida for the last 4 years about they have skill guys and not the horses up front. I mean, one thing Summerall is doing is he's getting the dudes up front that will build that brick wall and those big nasties, because I do this for a living, man. In Florida, for cycle after cycle, they would never have a top 150 offensive lineman. They try to get it done with 3 stars, and that's not the way you win in this league. And Summerall is went about it a different way. Yeah,
Clemson tended to do that for a long time until Braden Jacobs. It's like, hey, just give me the 3-star offensive lineman from Midwest America that is lunch pail, and we'll figure it out. And every time they play premier competition, like there is in the SEC, or they run up into a Miami, or they run up into a college football playoff, and tackles are getting spun like a top because they just don't have the physical traits to do it. So they're big enough. I mean, good God, they have 2 tackles that are both 6'8", and they're plenty massive. Summerall's done a lot to make that team stronger. So, yeah, we'll see what they ultimately look like. Who you got?
What if I told you there was a team that played 4 top 15 opponents this season, and 3 of them are at home? The Tennessee Volunteers are going to upset someone. I don't know whether that will be Texas or LSU or Alabama or Texas A&M. They're going to get someone. Josh Heupel's going to have that signature win this year. I don't know who it'll be, but they're going to bust someone's bracket.
Shout out to J.D. Piquel, friend of the show. The Tennessee Volunteers are the hippopotamus. They look nice and friendly. You don't realize, oh my God, they're responsible for the most deaths of humans on the entire planet from the animal kingdom. The hippopotamus. Sneaky.
Is that
Tennessee,
a fact?
sneaky. So says J.D. Piquel. I take J.D. Piquel for his word. All right? That guy's never led me astray at all.
Ooh, have you read Twitter?
I ain't worried about Twitter. I ain't worried about Twitter, except for my mentions. Those are the mentions I'm worried about.
Fair.
But apparently JD just found the softest portion of the internet. And I agree with JD. What is the world coming to if a man can't lock himself in the basement and watch a full Saturday slate of college football? What is the world coming to?
It's a great question.
Who you got, Jeff?
I think my most bracket kind of busting team is I look at Notre Dame a lot. We talked about this in the pre-show, and I look at BYU, and that's a team that most people think, hey, are they going to win 8 or 9? Can they win 10? Is that the floor versus the ceiling? You also got SMU on that Notre Dame schedule. I mean, you got to look at Notre Dame because they're very much an isolationist team, and they have that memorandum of understanding where if they're at least number 12, they're in. And I think it's fascinating, the dialogue about what happens if Notre Dame is 10-2 and 11-1 and who's the loss to. I think BYU can beat them. I think SMU is a team that can beat them. That's one of those everybody's kind of trying to figure out a way, because a lot of people think that the bracket is actually 11 teams plus Notre Dame because they're already pushing through with that Charmin schedule. So that's kind of what I look at.
Yeah. 42nd ranked strength of schedule according to ESPN FPI. I don't think it's as bad as everyone like labels it as, because they are an independent. And look, I'm one of these big proponents of hating on Notre Dame for being an independent. Get your butt in a conference. We've talked about that for a while, but they're out of conference, or well, their schedule alone right now is not as bad as Penn State's. It's not as bad as Texas Tech's. Like it's not the worst in college football. Hell, I think it's only 22 spots lower than Georgia's in a list that goes all the way down to 132. So it's not all that bad this year. I think ultimately it will become worse and worse when you see schools like Indiana getting out of their contract, USC getting out of their contract, ultimately coming back in 2030 on USC's terms because of what I'm talking about. I think Notre Dame's realizing, we better start being willing to bend the knee a little bit and able to keep these games on the schedule. I would venture to say that Texas game does not remain on that schedule for Texas's, especially if Texas loses to Ohio State this year and then finds themselves having to go 9-1 the rest of the way, or else they'll be in the same predicament they were a year ago.
One thing I'll say about Notre Dame too is, I feel like they're starting to get it. And what I mean by that is they're coming into the modern era. If you talk to a lot of personnel guys around the country, they're raving about what Notre Dame did to spend this year. Mm-hmm. They probably have the most pristine facilities now in college football where they didn't used to spend that money. And also, I never would have thought that Notre Dame would have been one of those big spender programs among the top 8, top 10. That's an incredible academic institution. I'm not just saying that because my father-in-law went there, but like Notre Dame, it seems like they're coming into the modern era a little bit, and maybe conference affiliation might be the next stroke.
While I have you, talking Notre Dame and recruiting and spending, why do all the former pros send their kids there? What is that?
I mean, I think it's probably they want their children to grow up around people that are not football players. The thing at Notre Dame I think is really novel is if you're a football player, your dorm assignment should be a regular student. Like you don't hang with athletes. You hang with guys. I remember Kyle Hamilton's father and his family. Kyle Hamilton was a tremendous football player. And, everybody wanted him, and Kyle wanted to be around people who built computers. And I think there's a little bit of, I had it rough. I only had football as my only outlet or my only avenue for a great professional career. And I think a lot of families, the NFL guys especially, they see that as well. And, of course, you're always going to be on NBC TV all the time with that contract as well. But, Notre Dame, you see them, I kind of see like the iceberg kind of moving towards modern ball a lot. Like there's only one school, I did a study this offseason. There's only one school that's even in the realm of spending like Georgia does for player retention, and that's Notre Dame. They spent basically 75% of their roster budget, their NIL budget, on player retention.
Wow.
I wonder how much the Catholic Church provides them booster NIL funds.
That's a great tinfoil hat theory right there.
I'll have to...
I would imagine Shane Gillis becoming the biggest comedian in the world might help that a little bit too.
Yeah, dude. I'll have to
Friend of the show. Did you know that, Jeff?
I did not know that.
You didn't know that, huh?
Did not know that.
Now you do. Now you do.
Did you watch season 3 of Tires?
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Good.
I've been just mainlining Blacklist lately.
Understandable.
Yeah. You stole mine with Florida, so I had to add this one right here. I don't know if they play enough of these teams to bust brackets enough that they can actually beat. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to take Oregon to the wire, but I do think Oklahoma State is one of these teams we look up with one loss to Oregon, and they're going into their matchup November 14th against Texas Tech, and we're like, wait a minute. Oklahoma State's only lost 1 or 2 football games. This Drew Mestermaker is real. This Eric Morris, armadillo shooting head football coach, is a really good offensive mind. Like, holy crap, Oklahoma State's back. I know they went 1-11 last year. I know it's a lot to ask for them to immediately turn it around, but I love some of the parts that they brought over from North Texas, most importantly their quarterback. Brought over, I think Wyatt Fulton's his name, the short, stocky, Wes Welker-ish wide receiver, if you will, from North Texas. Y'all going to find out about that guy in the Big 12 this year. But, yeah, they got Houston on the schedule and Texas Tech on the schedule, and I think the rest of it is relatively manageable out there in the Big 12 for the Cowboys. Again, not claiming that they're going to be a playoff team, but I think they might be one of these teams that messes up your preseason bracket come middle of the year.
Yeah, I'm not sticking in the SEC anymore. I'm going elsewhere. I don't think they're a playoff team. The fan base kind of hopes there. The coach says the window's open. USC's probably not making the playoff this year, but they're probably going to get someone. They've got Oregon. They've got Ohio State on the schedule and Indiana.
Yeah, they play the Big 3.
they got to go 1-2, right? They got to get one of those, right? Right?
I don't know.
Do you guys both think the Big Ten's only getting 4 in?
Well, I think they might only get 3 in this year.
Think they'll cannibalize everybody?
Yeah, I think the rest of them will eat each other.
Yeah,
unless you believe that a 10-2 Penn State gets in, which I'm not here for. I don't think you can play the 67th ranked or 62nd ranked schedule, lose to Michigan, lose to USC, and then be like, hey, we won every other game, which is what I'm kind of predicting to happen for Penn State this year. But no, I think they're a 3-team conference, and we'll see what happens to the SEC. But I think the SEC is going to cannibalize themselves too because it's a 9-game schedule a little bit. I went with a different route in the Big Ten, and it's the same reasons, same thought process you do. And yours is probably more reasonable because they actually have the ability to maybe beat one of the big 3. But Nebraska plays Indiana at Oregon and Ohio State this year. If they're 7-5 at the end of the year and they have a win over one of those 3 schools, that's going to be an absolute scab on your schedule to have lost to Nebraska this year if that happens. And that's why I think, like, you're losing to USC and being 10-2 and on the cut line, if you will, with the College Football Playoff Committee. If you're 10-2 with a loss to Nebraska, you're going to look like poop in that committee's mind towards the end of the year. That's why I went with Nebraska instead of USC.
Nebraska certainly has the opportunities to do that, and a loss to Nebraska would be that much more disgusting and drastic and ugly.
Sorry, Cornhusker fans.
They know it's true.
Do they?
Nebraska fans I respect because they understand, and they are the most loyal fans out there. They're not delusional. They're just like, you know what? We're going to keep showing up, and one day it's going to be. I respect.
And then there's Will Compton, who's got them 10-2 this year.
Well, I think he's got a business to run as well.
Do Nebraska fans and South Carolina fans point at each other like the Spider-Man memes? Because it's a great question. It seems like they're both the same fan base. We're going to show up. We're going to support. We're going to have a good Saturday night. And yeah, we'll always be here. We'll always sell it out, but they never win the big one.
That's a great point. I never even put those 2 and 2 together like that.
Let me paint you a picture.
Paint it. Bob Ross me right quick.
The BYU Cougars have defeated the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Ooh.
They are walking through their Big 12 schedule.
Uh-oh.
It looks like they might be a playoff team. They might go 12-0.
Holy war.
Nope.
Don't forget the monster patch on their
with the monster patch on their shoulders, on their jerseys. They are walking through the Big 12. November 21st, Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh, you going to introduce them to the spoon?
My Jayhawks are destroying, obliterating, and ending BYU's playoff hopes. They are busting the bracket. The Kansas Jayhawks are my bracket busters.
So we had to check Christian Kirby into rehab about 18 months ago, Jeff, because he just could not put Kansas down. He just, every week, it was just like, my Jayhawks are going to do it this week. My Jayhawks got it, and they just never did.
Never?
Yeah, we had to check him into rehab, get him off the spoon.
Never implies that it won't happen. One day, I will be rewarded.
One day.
I would be rewarded for my loyalty.
You got a bracket buster for me, Jeff?
I mean, I stumbled on BYU a minute ago, but like,
yeah,
I think
go ahead.
I just think that they're a team that they're going to shock somebody. I think that Notre Dame game shows up. And there's a lot of schools, but I think Michigan is a team, and I don't think they're going to make it, but they're going to be. I think the quarterback another year. Listen, I'm a football guy. I love me some Kyle Whittingham and what he means, and that's probably the perfect polar opposite of that DoorDash story where you got a serious football coach doing serious football things, and I think they'll. I mean, did you hear the stories coming out about how Underwood never had any real quarterback training, and they have a guy working with him?
Didn't have a day-to-day coach.
Yeah,
insane.
No wonder. And then. I mean, I just feel like Michigan's going to be one of those schools that's going to hang some L's on some people and take some as well.
I think we all got somebody sneaking up on Notre Dame in this segment, so I'll keep it rolling. Let me paint you a picture, Kirby.
Let's hear this picture.
All right, so they get by BYU and Miami 1-1. They think they're coasting to it, 11-1. And then November 21st, SMU comes to town. And Kevin Jennings gives it to him.
Ooh, SMU is a sleeper for this. Yeah.
They're a sleeper for a bracket buster if you're not careful. SMU and that quarterback, and Miami found this out last year as well. Like, if you're not careful, SMU going to come to town and give you an L if you're not on your P's and Q's. I think SMU might be one of these teams towards the end of the year that is a bracket buster. We got a super chub right here, Kirby. It says from Hunter Moss, says, talking about checking Kirby into rehab for Kansas. HR still needs to send you and Jay Will to rehab for y'all's Clemson spoon last year. Hunter, what are you doing? Why are you on his team?
Thank you, Hunter.
Jeff, I don't know if you watch every show. I don't want to put that on you.
Yeah.
But, we're supposed to be teammates around here. We're supposed to help each other out. We're supposed to be supportive of one another. And last year, about midway through December, Kirby goes through like 7 months of shows and clips up me and Jay Will hyping up Clemson, only for them to go 7-5, and then plays it for the audience and it's like, look at these two dummies. They thought Clemson was going to be good this year.
Before that, it was not December. It was immediately after they had lost to Syracuse. And there are multiple clips in the preseason of both Jay Will and Brooks going like, they're a top 10 team. Look at all the talent they're returning.
I think verbatim I said they're going to walk through the ACC.
Yes. Me saying, guys, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And them telling me, no, you don't know what you're talking about, yada, yada, yada. They lose to LSU and still very much like, those are two playoff teams right there. We just watched two playoff teams play in an instant classic. Clemson's a playoff team. They stumble and barely beat Troy, and it's like, rain game. Wow. They're still trying. So finally, when the nail was put in the coffin, I had to keep the receipts, per se.
Yeah, you keep the receipts on the ops, not your teammates, was the point. But hey, you swerve on a different beat every once in a while, so that's all right.
I think there's something susceptible. I think I know a lot of folks around the Clemson program, and they always told me the guys don't get along. The guys don't get along, especially with like playmaker versus, average starter. Like there's not a whole lot of, kumbaya, let's go have a burrito after practice. And I don't know, when you think about a team that kind of misses the mark like that, I think, with all due respect, I think the one non-Hawkeye take I've ever heard from you is you were super sold on Chris Visney. I mean, not Chris Visney, but you were super sold on their quarterback.
Cade Klubnik.
You love Cade. You some Cade Klubnik.
I loved college football, Cade Klubnik. It didn't work out. But yeah, you're right.
But I mean, that's what you're going. That's what you're getting with that. I mean,
see, Jeff is exposing Elite 11 takes because Jeff and I go to the Elite 11 together every year when there's a Georgia commit out there.
Yeah.
And you weren't there this year because there wasn't one there.
It wasn't.
But we're sitting there watching Cade Klubnik and Quinn Ewers, and I was so anti Quinn Ewers, so anti the mullet man, that I fell in love with Cade Klubnik, and they both ended up coming back to bite me. But no, you are right. All right.
I got one more.
Yeah, come on.
Because speaking of Clemson, it would be so Dabo Swinney for them to 8-4, 7-5 again, but they surprised Miami or they surprised LSU, and that's Dabo Swinney's like, no one believed in us. No one bought into this. We're still a great football team. We might even be a playoff team. Like, we might be the first 8-4 playoff team ever. Like, I could see Clemson ruining Miami or LSU season.
I was this close to putting Florida State on this list.
Ooh.
I was this close. But
they
I
almost did it last year.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Bowden's flip phone.
Let me frame something up for you fellas.
Go ahead.
What do we believe James Franklin is going to be at Virginia Tech? Is he going to be the same Xerox of what he was at Penn State? And what I mean by that is they're going to win 10 games a year and lose the 2 that really matter. Do you think that's what his ceiling is there?
Well, it was interesting to see him pull like 25 guys off that Penn State roster, I felt like, and pulled commits too. And the one thing I've always respected about James, and if you talk to like coaches in the coaching world, it's like, hey, who do you steal the most from? All of them steal stuff from James Franklin, whether it be practice schedules, how they develop not like recruiting targets and how they split offense and defensive recruiting strategies, and how the director of player personnel's jobs kind of seen fit. Like, there's a lot of people that respect what James does, but I think they're probably, at least for the first 2 or 3 years while he's out there in the ACC, they're probably what you just mentioned, where they beat the teams they should, lose the teams that they should as well. Which that was always my thing about James. James until last year was like, yeah, he's won in a gazillion against top 10 teams, but he's always the lowest ranked team in those top 10 matchups. He never had what Ohio State had. He never had what Michigan had. So we'll see. I'm not one of these pounding the drum on James Franklin just quite yet, though.
But didn't he, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will, but didn't he bring back the former head coach as his defensive coordinator?
Yeah, Brent Pry is the DC.
He did.
I mean, that is, talk about an unheard of college football story. You go back and be the DC of the program you got fired from. We don't see that.
Well, I think there's another example of that happening.
I ain't got one for you.
Maybe not off the top of my head.
No. Perfect week 0. You want to do this real quick?
Oh, Petrino.
Yeah, Bobby.
That's who it was.
Bobby Petrino. All right, I got the perfect week 0 slate. You ready?
Go ahead and give it to me.
All right, so this is how the week 0 slate is and the perfect outcomes of each individual football game. Here we go. We start the noon kickoff, and TCU is just putting BTA to UNC. I want to see it. Don't know what's happening to me lately, but I am so anti-UNC right about now, and I think that's okay. TCU beats UNC by 100. Then right after that, at the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we got USC and San Jose State in an absolute defensive battle. Just nobody can score a point. Offenses look like poop. Defenses look like gods. While simultaneously, on the other screen, NC State and Virginia are in a St. Louis Rams or LA Rams, Kansas City Chiefs type shootout, just scoring a gazillion points. Just mirror matching each other. Defensive struggle, laughing at USC for not being able to score against San Jose State, and then watching CJ Bailey and Bo Pribbs just absolutely light the scoreboard up. And then after that, at the 4:30 kick out there between North Dakota State and Jacksonville State, we catch Brian Kelly sleeping in the TV booth.
Oh,
just catching Z's.
You hate Brian Kelly.
Yeah, all my homies hate Brian Kelly. We're watching Brian Kelly out there in North Dakota State. All right, and then right after that, Micah Alejado and my man Davis Warren are in an absolute laser show. They're just ripping beams all over the football field. And then we close the night with Memphis putting an absolute bombshell to my college football playoff predictions by beating UNLV on the road. That is the perfect week 0 slate right there.
Let me give you a counter to that.
Okay, come on.
I'm all for, the UNC thing dying a slow burning death. I don't want that in week 0. Give me a good game.
You want to see 70-0?
No, I want to see a good game. It's the first college football. I don't want to be checked out by the first quarter of well, this isn't even going to be a good football game. Give me an all-time classic for UNC and TCU. I'm talking 7 fumbles, 9
just slop fest
9 total turnovers. It's a disgusting game full of chaos and ugliness.
Give me Iowa State, Kansas State, just rewatch.
Yes, please. Yes. Then 3 p.m. We follow that up with San Jose State shocking the world, beating USC, putting the playoff hopes to a screeching halt. Anyways, Lincoln Riley immediately on the hot seat. While that's going on, we've got a back-and-forth battle between Virginia and NC State, like you said. Chiefs versus Rams, 70 total points scored. Just give me that. 5:30 and 6:30 p.m., Jacksonville State and North Dakota State in South Carolina, or Sacramento State and Eastern Michigan. Just give us a really, really solid game. Something that where you don't go, I don't even care about those teams. I don't even want to check in. 7 p.m., Hawaii and Stanford give us another instant classic, dude. Alejado limping across the field. Broken leg. Full Greg Jennings is what I need.
Where were we at that time Colorado gave up a 30-point lead to Stanford? Were we on the
Nashville?
road? Yeah, we were somewhere.
I think
we were on the road somewhere. And it was a late-night game. We woke up and we're like, wait a minute.
They lost?
They lost?
That's Coach Prime, right?
Yeah. That was first year Coach Prime. I
remember that.
Ashton Daniels lights it up.
Now, here's one that's interesting. I want to see Florida State absolutely destroy New Mexico State, biblical, because I kind of want to have a thought maybe there's more than one good team in the ACC this year. Maybe Florida State did turn this around. And then 10 p.m., we obviously get a Dan Mullen classic of a high-scoring Memphis and UNLV game. So that is my perfect week 0 slate.
Jeff, I don't mean to cut you off, but we're going to ride you like the stallion that you are in the local hour. So let's head over to the local hour now. We'll be back after this short break.
Show our week and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Taking the spot.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the local hour, and it's about to be the Jeff Sintel ISO hour right about here, man. We're gonna talk some ball with our man Jeff Sintel. It is a loaded local hour. We got wrong notes. Loaded local hour. We're going to talk a good bit of recruiting with Uncle Jeff here. We got 16 days till kickoff. We're going to do that segment we did last night, just 16 edition. A little Ole Miss preview on tonight's local hour as well. We're going to continue our SEC preview segments here in the local hour. And it is the last Saturday without college football this weekend. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and telling a friend. Jeffrey, we're going right to you. You were out last night at Kell High School. Yeah. Did you stand next to Kirby Smart?
Kirby was moving. He was taking pictures. He was signing. He was basically everyone on that McEachern sideline had a mama who the mama was a player because McEachern's probably got 20 future D1 guys on their team, and Kirby was making the rounds. Most people don't know that story though, but like his nephew is actually a wide receiver commit at West Virginia. He plays for Kell High School. Brock Burris, and big kind of rangy, kind of gangly wide receiver. And but I mean, Kirby was like, there's Casey Barner, there's Joaquin Gouda, there's 6'6" freakazoid defensive end named Marley Underwood.
Cal, right?
Yeah,
from California, right?
Came out of Cal. I tell you what, McEachern has got two corners. One of them is Nash Johnson going to Auburn. The other corner on the other side is highly underrated. His name's Caden Battle going to Pitt. If you listen real closely to McEachern folks, they're like, he's probably our best coverage DB here, and that included the great Casey Barner.
Did the two twin defensive backs play last night for McEachern?
I believe the Pollock brothers are.
Yeah.
That little bit. The other thing that was interesting is their 2029 5-star, Ja'Cory Shockley. He did not play, waiting on a week. Same thing with Gouda, probably one of Georgia's top targets at linebacker. He did not play last week either. He has a sprained knee. He's probably going to go next week.
He's big.
He's physical, man. I know you and I watched this tape. I mean, Georgia gets a lot of jackrabbits to play linebacker. They can go sideline to sideline. This guy is a physical enforcer.
All right, so we buried the lead, and we did it on purpose. So everybody, what's up?
Before we do that, I think we should give a shout out to the UGA women's soccer team. They did break the official record for largest attendance in a soccer game, so shout out to them.
So they got over 22,000 there. Huh?
Yeah.
That's what's up. Did we have a head count? What did we get to? Did we smatter it?
There's a video of them of the crowd reacting. Obviously, I can't watch right now, but shout out to women's soccer.
Shout out to women's soccer. Kirby Smart would be proud of you for that right there.
Do we have any other shout outs we want to give today? Or
I think we're good. Am I supposed to have one? Huh? Oh, we'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it in a minute. We'll give a shout out to one of our sponsors in a little minute. Good job. But we got to talk Casey Barner. All right. This dude is a freak. He's a 2028 safety. I would just label him an athlete. He's the best running back on the field every time he's out there. He's the best punt returner on the field when he's out there. He's the best safety when he's out there. My entire timeline was inundated with Casey Barner highlights from last night. The interception that Ben Woke got clipped was absolutely bonkers. So we're going to probe Jeff Sentell on Casey Barner right now. My first question I have for you, because it is who he reminds me most of, and the internet found this one out last night too, based off his movement patterns, his ability to impact plays on a down-to-down basis. On a scale of 1 to Caleb Downs, 1 being 1, 10 being Caleb Downs, where is Casey Barner right now?
I think he's a little smaller, a little thinner. I think he's got more Mecole Hardman and Greg Reed to his game than Caleb Downs did. Now, Caleb, I believe, is the superior safety, but it's not by a lot. And I would say the number that feels right to me is probably 8.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 9. The thing about Casey is he's going to get expensive. And the thing Georgia folks they should be thinking about, and I'm sure they're thinking about it in Butts-Mehre, is like, do we like this guy at 1.2, 1.3? That's how much I believe it might take, especially when you got Ty Boogie Green, who's a little bit bigger, same type of player, but you're going to have to try to retain him in year 2 as well. But there is something, and I made this point, I find myself making this point a lot. There are expensive football players, and then there are priceless football players. And I think a lot of the things that Casey Barner does, and what I mean by that, is he finds a way in every other series, to be electric, to be a 5-star player and not just a 5-star prospect. Brooks, you know the difference between that. There's a lot of guys that you only see 2 good plays from them out of 60 reps, but they're 6'7" and they're 245 pounds and they look like a gazelle. And that's why they got the 5-star, because of all the projection. With Casey Barner, he's a 5-star because of all the production. And I mean, really, 5'10", maybe 5'11", 185, 190. And he is basically already going to go down as the greatest player in the history of the Corky Kell Classic, because he had 3 touchdowns last year against Walton, including one of them that made the SportsCenter top 10.
Yeah, the hurdle on the punt return.
The hurdle on the punt return. Last night, let's see, he has a great tackle for loss. He has an over-the-shoulder Willie Mays interception. First time he touches the ball on offense, he has a 58-yard touchdown run. Somebody face masked the Joker on the way down the field. It didn't matter. He scores. And Georgia offers him in the summer before his 9th grade year. He goes in camps and he earns a camp offer. And Casey Barner, that star, has just kept on rising. And I think he does that thing. I'm going to come back to it. Priceless. There's things he can do that he just elevates himself above everybody else on the field, and he makes it look extremely easy.
He's a priceless football player, but there is an expensive price that it is going to take to land him. I mean, just look at the places that he's going this fall. It's Ohio State, it's A&M, it's Indiana, it's Miami, it's USC, it's Alabama. I'm sure Georgia and Texas will get a visit as well. I mean, it is basically everybody with a high budget in the mix here for Casey.
Georgia's getting the Western Kentucky visit, their whiteout game visit from Casey Barner. So you'll at least have that kind of juice in the building. But you ask him the question, and I said, listen, man, you're a modern recruit. NIL is going to be at the fixture of this. And he was like, he addressed the question, did he give me the perfect answer? No, but he said, I'm not trying to get paid now. I'm trying to get paid when I get to the league. And that's one of the things that really resonated with, because you can make it a pure football conversation. First of all, Casey loves him some Ohio State. He lit up when I asked him about Ohio State last night. And what Ohio State does with its safeties, it's different than Georgia does with its safety. There's a little bit more freedom. You can kind of do what Caleb Downs did. And then you've got Miami, who is a big check university type school as well. But for him, he doubled down and he said, is the national perception is Georgia is slipping for Casey Barner. And I was like, is that legit? What do you have to say about that? And he goes, it's real early. Recruiting's still real early. By the way, Brooks, it's not really early anymore.
No.
You remember when DJ Jacobs committed December of his junior year? You remember when LaDainian Guyton committed? That was in what would become his junior year when he reclassed. That was in August. And then you got Kamari Dorsey, another 5-star in the state of Georgia. He commits in November of his junior year.
And never takes another visit.
Never takes another visit.
A&M locked him down.
So with Casey, you've got an example here of a player that he said to me, and this is the only thing, he cited his relationship to KJ Bolden, said he's known him since the 7th grade. One of his tight homies he's known for a while. He loves the path. He loves the projection. He realizes that KJ is going to be a top 10 pick, perhaps, maybe the first safety off the board in the draft. He loves that. He also said that the University of Georgia is not falling behind anywhere else. And he says, I love the University of Georgia. Now, is the University of Georgia going to love him to win a bidding war with him? I think time will tell.
I think it was with your interview after, this was last summer, I think, when he mentioned that he literally cried when he got the Georgia offer. Wasn't it your interview with him?
And he's a different kid. Like, you've been in this game a lot, Brooks. I remember I talked to him this spring, and we did the rudimentary photos. We did the rudimentary practice visit. We did the interview afterward. He came back, circled around, and found me. And he's like, hey, would you like to collaborate at all, like with the content you're creating? If you can tag me on, invite me to collaborate, I'd be glad to do that.
Modern athlete right there. He's
Certainly.
got to build the brand.
It used to be, hey, when will this be in the paper?
Yeah.
When are you going to write this? When is this going to come out? And now they're like, can we collaborate on content?
Invite me for a collab on Instagram.
I mean, come on.
I do think it would do. It's probably going to happen, but what would that do? And when's the last time Georgia had two safeties that, when they were drafted, were the highest in their class? Because Malachi was the highest in 24, correct?
Yeah.
And KJ's the highest in 27.
Yeah, Malachi was rated as an athlete. KJ was rated as a safety, but that's the good point with those.
We'll see. We'll get an answer to this. I think Jalen McClain might be the first safety off the board, the safety at Ohio State now.
There's a real chance.
The year after Caleb Downs was. It's not like they're –
yeah.
And that's the problem. It's like he talked, not the problem, but that is the reality of the situation with the schools that are recruiting him. Yes, it's an NFL decision, but buddy, you probably gonna play in the NFL wherever you go.
And it's not like Ohio State hasn't been pumping out first round DBs.
Yeah.
The one hesitation I think somebody might have here is just because he's not prototype. If he was 6'2", 205 pounds like Dorsey, I think schools would feel a little bit better about him, especially when you're going to try and squeeze out his brilliance, which is getting him in the return game, getting him maybe to be your third down back, your change of pace back. Like, I mean, you could get some Zachariah Branch screens out of Casey.
Yeah.
I just think he is a guy that I think you've got to look at the 2028 class, first of all, and you got to say, okay, are you going to spend? I think they're going to have to spend for an edge rusher. I think they're going to have to try to spend for a defensive lineman.
And they're going to have to hold on to Jaden Wade.
Yes. I think those are things you got to pay for. And I don't know if you've eyeballed the Newton High School phenom, Kevin Hartsfield, yet. Number one running back in the country. Loves him some Georgia as well. But imagine Georgia pairing him with Spell. That would get you back to some Nick Chubb, Sony Michel type stuff.
Yeah, the Hartsfield kid's twitchy.
And he's 205, 210 as well.
He's gotten that big now?
Yeah. The thing I loved about him, Brooks, and I don't know if this was media training, I asked him, I was like, man, number one running back in the country, right? How do you handle that? Is that inspiration? Is that pressure? And he's like, man, I'll be honest. He's like, I don't see what everybody is saying about me. He's like, I don't see it. He's like, they got me rated that highly. I don't see it. You know what I see he says, when I watch my film, I watch the ball in the wrong arm slot. I watch me missing my cut. I watch me not taking it upfield, even though I scored, because it would have been easier if I'd have cut it upfield rather than went to the boundary. He critiques himself so much on his touchdowns. Mind you, he's averaging 12.9 yards per carry in high school against guys like Grayson. He's playing some dudes. He's playing some teams.
With lesser than talent. No offense to Newton.
Yeah.
And also, I love me some Coach Skelton, but I highly doubt they're doing a lot of media training at Newton High School.
I'm telling you what, that kid's got it. I mean, it sounds a lot. That's a Nick Chubb type answer when you sit there and you ask him, why does everybody think you're so great? And he's like, man, I don't see it. I see everything I do wrong.
Do you think, back to Casey, do you think he potentially reclasses? Because that was one of the topics today. It's like, this kid's already ready to go.
Definitely. He was probably ready to go last year. And I mean, do you get to the contract? I mean, again, I think when you have a bigger athlete, more of a prototype athlete, I think the reclass makes a lot more sense. When you have a guy that, and then listen, Casey Barner's game will always be elusiveness, ball skills, read, react, and speed. But I think you kind of suppress your learning curve a little bit when you get to the money, so to speak, or just get to college quicker. It would never surprise me now about the reclass, but I asked Casey about this spring, and he was kind of like, I feel like I still want to be a high school kid for a little bit longer.
You know, you talk about not having the prototypical size. I remember having a conversation with Chad Simmons during the playoff game. Remember those playoff games that all four of them were played over there in that stadium in Atlanta? It was like Langston Hughes, Mill Creek, Douglas County, I think, played that night. It was like four big-time, Gainesville, Milton. There's a bunch of high school football teams that played playoff games there that day. I remember talking to Chad about Caleb, saying, like, is this the first five-star you've ever covered that is a five-star and isn't 6'2", 205 pounds, and clearly runs a 4.38? Because most of them are traitsy five-stars.
Yeah.
Whereas Caleb was a five-star because, my God, look at this football player. Look at all that he can do. I feel like Casey's in that same territory where you mentioned not prototypical size. And I think there's one knock on him where, you know, you're in these player development discussions, you're in these war rooms, and you're having a discussion with your head coach about, hey, do we want to give this kid $1.3 million? The first thing that will come up was, Coach, he's 5'10", 185 pounds. I don't know if I can do that. But I would. I mean, you mentioned it, priceless. I think he overcomes his size with instincts and traits.
I would watch
other traits.
Now, listen, some teams like Texas and Ohio State, and especially Miami, they don't have a budget if they want the guy to go get it. But I would watch like for an outlier here, maybe perhaps like an Auburn or a school like that that's like, okay, this is our guy. You know, this is our war chest player that we're going to build around. And I think that might be, you know, some temptation there as well. I mean, he definitely wants to get to the league. He's a motivated guy. He's driven. You know, one thing Coach Kareem Reed told me afterward last night is he's like, you know what? Nicest kid, humble, even with all this shine on him. And he's like, what does he want to do when he makes it? He says he wants to come back and invest and give back to his community. I know that's a heartwarming hallmark story that I actually love, but I'm going to tell you, you don't hear that a lot. You don't hear a lot of that these days.
No, he's 100% a dude. There's no doubt about that. Where do things sit right now, Jeff, with this 2027 class? I know early on in the spring, it was like, oh my God, they're ranked 28th on the consensus rankings. What's going on? Set the house on fire. Everybody's panicking. Where are they at right now as we sit here in August, late August, heading into the season?
Well, there's kind of an emerging trend. First of all, the anchors of the class, the flagships, are a 5-star tight end and a 5-star running back. It's Georgia is trending to be more of an offensive-handed team than a defensive-handed team going forward. The ironic part, Brooks, I'm just going to call a spade. I'm used to covering Georgia recruiting classes where they sign 15, 16 top 200 guys. Mm-hmm. That's what Georgia does. They stack them up, right? Mm-hmm. You know how many top 200 guys they got in this class?
I'm going to guess 3.
They got 6.
6?
And there's only 2 of those on the defensive side of the ball. And those are both 150, 170, 190 type players. And for those that don't know, there's 32 5-stars every year because it mirrors the NFL draft and 32 draft picks. But I've always had a benchmark of the top 200 players in the country. That's generally a top 10 player at their position. And are recruiting rankings the gospel? No. But there's a lot of people that look at them, and that in some ways it is more of a reflection of the players that everybody's taking a look at and they really, really like. You see Georgia, what they're doing. They've got a tackle. They need to get a tackle every year. They've got another tight end that I'm going to tell you, I think Georgia's going to take Jackson Dollar, special football player, and let him follow the path that Caden Prothrow's doing right now. Mm-hmm. Let him play that big slot, that power slot, just to get some reps until the body gets right, because the tight end room is absolutely loaded. The thing about this, I don't want to bury this lead when I'm talking about this. This entire recruiting class is built around the running back, Keemon Spell. Special, Brooks. When I say special, I was there when James Cook was being recruited. I was there when Kendall Milton was being recruited. DeAndre Swift, Zamir White, he's right up there. I mean, the only player, like, he has the potential in my mind to be one of the 5 most impactful recruits of the Kirby era. Wow. Because, I mean, he plays in like a concept offense up in Pennsylvania where he's basically in a wing tee, or he's a triple option type guy. He's usually the A-back, V-back a lot. And he's everything you want from a quickness movement standpoint. He's a 4'4", 4'3" guy. He's close to 210 pounds. But where he gets special, Brooks, is he is a dynamic receiver out of the backfield. I saw him scorch people all winter in 7-on-7s working as a slot. I had some personnel guys entertain this question, and I said, what if he wasn't running back? What if he was just a slot receiver? Where do you think he would be on your board? And they were all like, he'd be a top of the board guy, especially as a slot, because he's so shifty, ball skills, fast. I think he is a guy. Now, look, this is deep thought Georgia football here, but I think Nate Frazier is going to go to the league. I think Chauncey Bowens is going to go to the league. And then there's going to be an opening, not just NIL dollars and salary cap dollars, but there's going to be an RB1 opening there for Georgia next year. And Keemon made no bones about it. When I went up there and talked to him in February, right after he committed, he was like, it's wide open for me. And Georgia's where I've always wanted to be, because this is a program that has everything I want, but they also have the touches coming open.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you about him, because when Georgia gets a 5-star nowadays, everybody, no matter if he's a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, doesn't matter. The whole entire fan base goes, are we going to be able to hold on to him? Yeah. And this seems like a guy, and I think it was your interview where he's like, I am Georgia. It ain't happening. Ain't nobody talking to me. It's not going to happen. So he's still 110% locked in.
He said it in February. He's like, I'm not leaving, kind of like that Wolf of Wall Street type quote.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where I think Georgia and him reached the financial agreement right before he made his commitment, because that's where he wanted to be all along. I even asked him, I said, dude, James Franklin doesn't get fired. Are you still at Penn State? He's like, no, I was just always waiting for Georgia. Now, that's a scripted answer, perhaps, but Keemon is a guy that he said, I'm not visiting anywhere else. I'm not taking any other officials, and I'm not visiting any other schools back in February. That's exactly what he's done. He has recruited the class as a peer recruiter as hard as anybody in this class. And when you want your number one guy to look like that, the folks in the building, I hear they love him. They saw it. They worked him out this summer, and they thought, and this is going on the tree branch a little bit, trying to crack a limb. They thought he could play for them right now. They thought Keemon Spell could play for Georgia right now.
I mean, especially with the Dowdle news, like it's a need. You sent us a little note and a little nugget before the show about this top 75, and I think you already alluded to it a little bit. Just how different is the defensive recruiting right about now as opposed to where it was just a couple years ago?
I think they're feeling themselves in terms of feeling confident that they can find the Javon Bullards, the Eric Stokeses, those guys across the board. They did it last cycle. I don't know if you watched the film of Terrence Pinnock at South Gwinnett.
Yeah.
He was about to go to Coastal Carolina. And credit Glenn Schumann because he has a process where he tries to watch the film of anybody in the state of Georgia with a major college offer to make sure he's not missing anybody in state.
Yeah, they don't leave a stone unturned.
Came back, found Pinnock because he was like freshman year, yeah, okay. Sophomore year, a little bit better. Junior year, very good. And then senior year, great. And Pinnock is a guy, he was a 3-star. They're finding guys like this, but here's what's happening. This fall, John Mateer or Trinidad Chambliss is going to look across the Georgia defense. He's going to see 7 guys that were a 5-star that are starting for Georgia. That includes, Justin Williams being an, inside linebacker guy there as well. That's KJ, of course. That's Elijah Griffin, of course. It's Joseph Jonah Johnny, perhaps, but it's also Chris Cole. It's it's Ellis Robinson as well. There's 2 more that are in the 2 deep that are likely going to be 2s. That's 9. If we flash forward to 2028, because like I said earlier, they're not signing the 5-star. They're not even signing the top 75 recruit. If we flash forward to 2028, that defense might only have 1 5-star, not maybe 2 5-stars, and that's it. And that's counting a guy like Isaiah Gibson hanging around for his 4th year in Athens. What's crazy, though, is I know this sounds like doom and gloom, and I'm painting a terrible picture. You know where all the 5-stars are going to be? They're going to be on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the normal Georgia team over the last 3 or 4 years has had about 12 5-stars. It looks like there's only going to be like 5 or 6 in 2028. And we can do this because we know what the 2026 class looks like. We know what the 2027 class looks like. I don't expect a whole lot of 2028s to come in and crack the 2 deep at Georgia right away. But you're going to see Keemon Spell, 5-star running back. You're going to see Caden Prothero, 5-star tight end. You're going to see Ekene Boko, 5-star offensive tackle as your left tackle. You're going to see 5-star tight end Jackson Dollar. So a lot of those upper echelon guys, and if you want to project, and this is probably where heads will roll in the comment section, but if Jaden Wade goes on and signs with Georgia, he's likely to be your QB2 that year because if you don't play him, you're going to lose him after 1 year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy to think that Georgia is going to realize, man, their evals are great, their development's great. Like A.J. Cruaz, perfect example. He's a guy that they pulled out of Marietta that was going to go to North Carolina, and it was a late eval, a late work by Schumann there as well. And some people will say, I've heard people tell me when we talk about this on our show Before the Hedges, they're like, they looked a couple years back, and you had C.J. Allen at linebacker, and you had Raylan Wilson at linebacker, and Chris Cole was barely playing, and Justin Williams was barely playing. And they were all like, well, what good are those guys doing you on the sideline where you can get them on the field? Because listen, if you take a 5-star now at a place like Georgia, you're going to pay them to sit about 1.5 years before they're ready to roll, especially at a trench position, in a box position. And sometimes Georgia's likely now to say, hey, year 3, when the guy's going to play, we wouldn't have invested $3 million in a player that hasn't really gotten really good clock tick for us yet. So, you're going to see Georgia look a little bit differently where all the difference makers are going to be on offense. And listen, we've watched this team for a lot of years. When have they ever had like a 5-star quarterback handing off to a 5-star running back?
Maybe 2017.
Yeah, I was going to say 2017 against South Carolina when Justin Fields got a bunch of tick and James Cook went off.
Well, that would have been
That's
Eason.
about it.
That would have been Eason in 2017.
2018.
2016 was Eason. 2017 was Fromm. 2018 was Fields.
Yeah.
But
It's probably been that long, though.
you got to get technical a little bit. JT Daniels was a 5-star that got some got some stuff there as well in 2020. But when you start, everybody's going to criticize the play caller. They're going to criticize the offense. They're going to criticize a lot of things. But knowing the way this team is built, the way that I do, you don't have a dude that everybody wanted there at a lot of those premium positions. Now, tight end, you can say that, yeah, but running back, no, not really. Wide receiver, no, not really. Quarterback, no, not really. I mean, Carson Beck wound up like the number 200 player in the country. I think Gunnar Stockton was the number 150 player in the country. So you've never really had that guy. And if what they're trying to build is a it's almost like the defense is going to be taken care of. We're Georgia. Kirby, Glenn, get it all figured out. Trey Scott, get it all figured out. Then offensively, what if the premier players on the team are now on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, you're balancing budgets nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the reality of the situation. So if you feel like you're schematically as tight as any football team could be on the defensive side of the football, let's pour the resources into offense. As long as it pans out as you get these guys in. That's the most important thing. All right, now, I've always said on this network that if a recruit is a loop and swoop guy instead of a bunny ears guy with how he ties his cleats, this man Jeff Sentell is going to know about it. So what I want to know from Jeff Sentell is your top 5 recruiting stories, and I know it's hard to narrow it down to 5, but give me your top 5 recruiting stories during your time covering the University of Georgia.
I think they're recruiting moments. I think
even better.
People will like, first of all, a little known nugget about Jake Fromm, right? Jake Fromm was committed to Alabama. This was the last year of Mark Richt. As it turns out, the offensive coordinator at Alabama at the time was Lane Kiffin. Quarterbacks coach Lane Kiffin. So Coach Saban, the way he'd do it after a game when the recruits were visiting, they'd have tables set up, right? They'd have tables where the linebacker coach hosted the linebackers, wide receiver coach hosted the wide receivers, offensive line coach hosted the offensive lineman on a big table. They'd talk, shake hands with mom and dad. Well, as it turns out, Lane Kiffin did not have really perfect attendance with the quarterbacks after those games. Perhaps he was going to enjoy himself on a Saturday night in an SEC football town. Perhaps. So what happened a couple of occasions was like Jake was with the quarterbacks, right, as the quarterback commit. And there was nobody there to kind of chaperone him, so to speak. Kirby waved him over and said, hey, come over here. And he was at Kirby's table. So that's kind of a way that Jake Fromm and Kirby Smart got to know each other really well while he was committed to Alabama. All because
Lane Kiffin was a little
perhaps Lane Kiffin was a little slack with his post-game discharge of his duties. One I really love is the Zamir White story. It's one of those things I'll always think about it. Zamir was supposed to be aborted when he was born. Zamir was a kid that he was. They did the ultrasounds. They looked at it and they said he's probably going to have a cleft lip. He's probably going to have issues upon delivery, and they were like, it was a young mother, and the grandma was very central in this story. The grandma was like, listen, we're going to let this child come to this earth and take a breath and then let God take over and see what happens from there. That ends up being Zamir White before the knee. I hope people can go back and watch him because he was special. Like I almost remember, as I'm trying to be very specific about Keymon Spell right now, I'm not going to commit recruiting analyst heresy and not forget about how good Zamir White looked. There was a stat Zamir had in high school, and this is where I'm going with that story, is he goes from a child that still had a bunch of surgeries. When he was born, they thought he might not live 100 days, and he was in North Carolina ICUs, pediatric ICUs for forever. And he becomes a guy that's 6'1", 220 pounds, runs a 10.7. His senior year of high school, he averaged a touchdown on every third or fourth carry. Every fourth carry, he got a touchdown.
Ridiculous.
He would have 15 carries for 150 yards and 3 scores. And the coach, to his credit, would always be like, it's not my job to have Zamir White set state records that will never be broken. He said, it's my job to get him to the NFL and to change his family's trajectory. I'll always remember the Zamir White story. Probably one of the funnier stories.
How do you get the nickname Zeus?
Because he looked like Zeus.
He looked like a Greek god.
Looked like he came down from Olympus.
Oh, okay.
Like he was the after picture or whatever in your favorite gym's workout ad. Another one that'll just stick with me is Broderick Jones. You remember Broderick, 5-star offensive tackle?
Of course, Lithonia.
So we were, I think it was his sophomore year. He went to the Under Armour camp. And this is when he was really blowing up. He got an Under Armour All-American invite. He was one of the MVPs of the camp. He was in the Final 5. And like,
it was a Zach Evans year, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes. Everybody asked him afterward. That was really. He had reporters around him and everything, and I was like, I filed something away, and I was like, I need to come back and see him the next week. So I go to Lithonia the next week, and I start asking him a couple questions, and And Broderick answers it a certain way, and my like reporter spidey sense goes off. And I was like, hold on a second. Have you already committed to Georgia? And mind you, he had done 20 interviews with every reporter in the world. Everybody asked him about his visit. They asked him, how do you like this school? Who are you thinking right now? Who are your top schools or whatever? Sometimes people, the simplest thing, they never come out and say, have you committed?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I committed like three weeks ago. And I was like, the coaches were in the room, the line coach and the head coach is like, I was like, is he for real? He's like, yeah. He's like, we're surprised nobody has asked him yet. I was like, hold on. I dropped the dime. I call somebody that would know whether that commitment was blessed or not. That commitment was definitely blessed. And I was like, hold on a second. I literally type it up while I'm in the coach's office. I hit publish. And this is a day before the Hayes Fawcett edit.
Yeah.
And I'm literally going, the kid just answered so many questions in a certain way that I just like, dude, are you committed? He's like, yeah. And he's like, nobody asked me. Nobody ever came out and asked me if I was committed. And he wasn't the type of kid that was going to put out an edit because edits weren't a big thing back then. He wasn't a kid to publicize that. And that was a future 5-star offensive tackle. And it was so funny. I'm in the room, and I won't name names, but I'm in the room and he's talking to me and I'm literally quoting him and typing him in the story. We get it up like 6 minutes later after he tells me that. And Broderick's phone starts ringing. And they're recruiting reporters, really excellent recruiting reporters across the industry. And they're like, dude,
what the heck?
You didn't hook me up. What's going on? What's going on with that? And they were like, you kind of saw that. And it was just like, I was like, this will probably never, ever happen again.
My favorite Broderick Jones story I've told on this network before. This was during COVID. And it was like citywide shutdowns. You were not allowed to be on like practice fields. You were not allowed to be anywhere. And I go to a workout with Broderick and, Big Kev, the offensive line guru.
Yeah.
So Kevin invites me out to a workout with Broderick, and I'm watching him. And Broderick's at the end of the workout, he starts running hills over there at Lithonia Middle School. And a DeKalb County police officer shows up. And he's got the lights on, and he's been told somebody's out here working out. They're not supposed to be here. And he pulls up, lights on, sirens on, turns the sirens off, keeps the lights on, grabs his PA and goes, Broderick, is that you? And Broderick's up there and waves at him. And then he gets back on the PA. He's like, keep doing what you're doing, son. I'm going to get on out of here. And then just drives away. And I was like, oh, 5-stars got a little bit different pull, even in DeKalb County with the police office department.
Broderick had a pet snake. He always talked to me about his pet snake. Yeah.
Dude, pet snakes and dirt bikes. Broderick's a little bit different. yeah. Broderick at 6'6", 295 pounds was riding dirt bikes.
I've never understood the affinity of having a pet that you just look at.
I think he pulled that one up out of the cage.
He would have fun feeding it. He talked to me about what it was like to feed it. And, it's that rat, and you get a rat from the pet store.
All right, that's cool. I'm in on the snake.
Watching death, that's cool.
I mean, just watching like a predator.
And then there's one other one I got to kind of round out. It's got to be about Brock Bowers, right? I mean, I got to hit some of the high notes.
Did you get to go to Napa?
Did not. That was COVID time. And I've talked to Todd Hartley about this, especially in the media sessions that you get at the Sugar Bowl or the Bowl every year.
Yeah.
And, Brock's family kind of believes this to be true. Todd is kind of like, well, I don't know about that. But I think it is fascinating. Brock Bowers was at Nevada. No, he had an offer from only Nevada. He was at a Elite 11 opening camp back when they had the opening camp. And he was on a 1-9 football team, a dreadful football team, but he did obviously everything. He was the human joystick. He had all the buttons right on the controller. And I believe Nevada was his biggest offer. And he goes to the opening camp, gets measured 6'3", 225, smokes a 4.57 or something like that on the laser. And he gets that timed, and he gets those measurements recorded. And then a week later, 2 weeks maybe, COVID happens and the world shuts down and there's no more camps. And he would not even have a senior season out in California because of all the rules about the coronavirus over there. His mother and I have spoken about this before, because what if Brock that week would have, I don't know, went hunting or went fishing, or girlfriend occupied his time, maybe helping their mom move or something like that. Or, he just didn't feel like working out that day. If he never goes to that camp, never gets the times, never becomes a national recruit out of that, does Georgia ever find it? And Hartley's like, we knew about him. I bet they did, because Georgia knows about everybody, especially anybody with size or anything else like that. But I always thought that story was fascinating. One of the reasons why Georgia won is he just wanted to be in a small town. His other really big finalist was Washington, and Washington's in the middle of Seattle, and he didn't want to go to college in a small town. And so, I think you guys have a segment, What If Wednesdays or something like that. For me, the what ifs there multiply. Like, what if Brock Bowers doesn't go to that camp? What if there's never a 40 out there? Does he ever get to Georgia? That's kind of one of the ones I always think about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question you even ask of this.
Who's got
The
sound?
headphones just connected.
Oh,
but yeah, the other question of does he even win?
Pull the cable out.
Does Georgia even win the national championship if you don't get Brock Bowers there? So that's probably another interesting thing to have going on there.
You know what else is interesting, Kirby?
What's that?
Our friends over at SeatGeek. We love our friends over at SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app in the world. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and much, much more. College football is almost back. The MLB playoffs are right around the corner. Plus, the NFL and NBA seasons aren't too far behind. If we can, Kirby, let's take a look over at SeatGeek right about now and take a look at some tickets. I don't think we've checked this one out. Tennessee State. First game of the year for the University of Georgia. If you are like me and frugal with your budget, maybe Tennessee State might be the game for you, because right now on SeatGeek, I'm looking at a $45 ticket up there. But $55 ticket, you can sit on the 50-yard line, albeit in the sun over there on the south end over there on the visitors end for $207. And if you use promo code FilmGuy10 today, you can get 10% off your next set of tickets over at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code FilmGuy10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you to our friends over at SeatGeek. All right, Kirby, this narrative segment around Gunnar Stockton has been on the show sheet for a good little minute, and you did some research on this, so I definitely want to get to it. There are a couple of paths this season can go for Gunnar Stockton. A lot of people expecting growth in year 2 as a starter, year 4 in the system. So lay the groundwork for the segment, Kirby.
Yeah, so you kind of hit on it pretty good there. Is Gunnar Stockton is entering his second full season as Georgia's starting quarterback. He's also entering his 4th season in the system of a Mike Bobo offense. So my thoughts on this were, how have these quarterbacks performed, whether it be year 4 of a Mike Bobo system or second year starting under Mike Bobo? And we have 2 examples of that. We have 3 examples technically. Aaron Murray and Carson Beck had 2 second-year startings under Mike Bobo. Aaron Murray obviously made it to his 4th season in that system. So I just want to take a look at it. Aaron Murray in 2011, which was his second season, was statistically his worst in accuracy. He threw for 59.1% in that year. He threw more interceptions than he did, 14 interceptions, 35 touchdowns. Now, you could argue that probably had a lot to do with the fact that the team around him was not necessarily as good. They did make an SEC championship that year, though, so it's hard to say it was just an awful team. Aaron Murray was definitely doing a lot of heavy lifting from that, but his interception totals went up from his freshman year. His completion percentage went down. His total yardage went up just 100 yards, even though he had about 50 more attempts. So not a great year 2 starting for Aaron Murray. And then obviously we know Carson Beck is a little bit more fresh. Had a really solid season in 2023, 72% passing, led the nation in third down completion percentage. 2024, not nearly the same. It's his worst year statistically for completion percentage outside of 2021, where he had like 20 pass attempts. He had more interceptions that season, more touchdowns, but more interceptions. Obviously was forcing the ball a lot. So the trend you would say is, oh God, Gunnar Stockton's entering his second season with Mike Bobo. He might regress because Aaron Murray and Carson Beck obviously points to the same. The difference in this is, though, Aaron Murray in his 4th season, at the most mature of his career in the Mike Bobo system, he threw for 3,000 yards. He had his best touchdown to interception ratio that he had of his career. Mind you, his career was cut 3 games short because of the knee injury he suffered against Kentucky. So his yardage is not there as much. His attempts are not there as much. But it's very obvious that Aaron Murray was the best rounded player. So the question now is, what narrative do you think is going to happen here? Are we going to say Gunnar Stockton's entering his 4th season, he's going to be mature, he's going to be the most polished and well-rounded version of himself? Or is it Gunnar Stockton's entering his 2nd starting season under Mike Bobo? Statistics would indicate there's some areas that he's going to regress.
Do you think some of that second-year recession might be due to the fact that defenses might have figured some things out?
I think
I know what it was for Carson. Everything around him got worse.
And that's what I was to say. I mean, I think it's defenses figured things out. You were probably asked to do a little bit more than you're used to because the talent around you is so bad. We talked about it. Georgia could not run the football in 2024. Like, no matter how hard they tried, Nate Frazier and Trevor...
Third in the country. It was awful.
Yeah, Trevor Etienne and Nate Frazier, good running backs. The offensive line, for whatever reason, did not mesh together. It was very easy to load the box, stop them, and say, hey, Carson Beck beat us today, which is what led to a lot of interceptions, which is what led to a lot of turnovers, so that's unfortunate. From my memory, I was 9 years old at the time, but remembering that 2011 season, it was, hey, if Isaiah Crowell's not going to give us 100 yards today, Aaron Murray, you've got to go out and find us a way to win the game with guys like Rentavious Wooten, Tavares King, Malcolm Mitchell got injured that season. So that's the way I remember it. So it was definitely the weight of the world being put on their shoulders, which probably led to the regression. You look at this year, Georgia's going to run the football really, really well, we expect. They might not have the receiver stars to help them out, and that might be the areas where Gunnar is asked to do a bit more. But it's not like Gunnar Stockton isn't going to have a run game to fall back on. It's not like Gunnar Stockton isn't going to have a system that doesn't help him play comfortably. So I would tend to believe that 4th-year improvements polished is what we're going to see of Gunnar Stockton instead of, year 2, we're going to take a step back.
What are your thoughts, Jeffrey?
First of all, I like the piece as example because I think when you look at stats like that, you've got to look at receiver room regression. Quick pop quiz: is this the best offensive line Georgia's had since 2021?
Yeah,
I would say so.
I would put it up there with any unit that I've watched in my time doing this. So I would go all the way back to 2019.
Yeah.
The talent level in 2021 was elite, and look. Big, huge Cedric Van Pran lover. Like, I love SVP, but I think Drew gets the 5 to play at a higher rate than SVP did. But he has a little bit more to pull in that facet where, in 2021, he had 2 first-round tackles. So, a little bit different. No, I think this is going to be the best unit in terms of a full 5 that I've ever covered at Georgia.
So, first of all, I think that sets up my question. My take here is that I think you're going to have a line in front of you. You're going to be able to run the ball. I'm just really curious to see if Georgia will revolve the production around the tight ends this year. Because I think perhaps they should. Not that I'm a certified offensive coordinator ball knower, but I know this through the test of time. Anybody with a whistle that says you want the ball in the hands of your best players, the players that make you look right even when you're wrong. I think the largest concentration on that offense is in the tight end room. We've all heard the stories about Riddell, but I'm going to tell you this. If you have Prothro and Riddell and Elias Williams on the field at the same time, what are you going to do in the red zone with those guys? Because you've only got one gangly safety to deal with, and if Prothro's in the slot, you've got a perimeter run option there as well with him. So I feel like all those pieces around Gunnar, and the one thing I think people don't get about Gunnar is I think he's evolved into a sort of a game manager, red zone legs guy, don't make a mistake guy, which is sometimes what they're coached to be a little bit at Georgia because that's the way you win the game most effectively, probably. The probabilities say that. But I just remember this. Gunnar has always been a great deep ball thrower. That's probably been his best strength. Everybody wants to talk about the layering and the throws over the middle, but when you have a run game and you can hit play action, your quarterback's probably biggest tool in his passing toolbox is the 9 route or is the deep shot. If you can give Gunnar, maybe it's Isaiah Cannon, maybe it's Talon Taylor, maybe it's a name I'm hearing a lot right now, Thomas Blackshear, maybe it's somebody like that, maybe it's still love this stat from this summer. It's been reported in a lot of places. The second fastest player on the team is London Humphreys.
He's gotten bigger, by the way.
Yeah, and so if you can get a guy, I just think about Gunnar's senior year and junior year at Rabun. He threw like 25 touchdown passes to the same guy, and those were all like deep ball shots, deep throws. Now, does he get 30 touchdown passes this year and maybe 15 come from the tight end room. Maybe that's how you get year 2 Gunnar Stockton looking a lot better. And that didn't try to give a professor's answer there, but that's what I think about when I think about Gunnar.
You're the GOAT when it comes to recruiting coverage for the University of Georgia. I put you up there with anybody. I could be wrong on this, but I felt like in Dale McGee's heyday, he would get his running back room solidified, and then they'd send him after the next biggest target that they needed help solidifying. I feel like Todd Hartley's entered that era where his room is so deep. He gets his guy every single year. He hadn't missed in 5 years, I feel like. Why don't they use him like they did Dale? Hey, we're struggling to get to the finish line with this football player. I know we're in an NIL era and bottom lines matter, but why don't they use Todd like that?
Because Todd's the kid who gets his work done 3 weeks in advance when the project's due. He's got his 5-star tight end target figured out like 8 months before they sign.
That's what I'm getting at. So why don't they help? Why don't they use him to help solidify everything? He's obviously a great recruiter.
Yeah.
Like the idea that Jackson Dollar is like, yeah, I mean, I'll go play in that room.
Yeah.
When everybody else has offered me first year starting opportunities.
Yeah.
So why don't they use Todd like they used to use Dale? Because Dale, I would see Dale on sidelines there. You're like, there's no running back here. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm here to put that one in concrete.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dell did not miss. That's one of the things at the running back spot is I believe his batting average was like 80%.
Yeah.
The guys he went after he got. And then like not even counting guys like, you know, who's the running back that eventually went to Auburn and it's now with the Jacksonville Jaguars that was going to go in the wake of that Zach Evans.
Tank Bigsby?
Tank Bigsby.
Tank,
Yeah. Carnell Tank Bigsby. So like he was a guy that he could have gotten him if he wanted him when before that Zach Evans storyline played out. And I just remember, I love this Todd Hartley story because people that would know told me this. This was after Justin Fields transferred. And it's kind of along the lines of what you're thinking. There was a meeting, pretty sure meeting room, Buttsmere, whatever. There was a meeting and there was a crossroads where Georgia, are they going to go after and try to find the next Justin Fields, dual threat, mobile guy, or they're going to try to find the best quarterback? And Todd was one of those guys that basically said, listen, there's this kid in Jacksonville, Carson Beck. And he's like, we think he's the best quarterback. I think from talking to people, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Now, mind you, that was after Carson's junior year where he lit the world on fire, was Mr. Football in the state of Florida, and did it with a high school that had never won a thing. And they, at the time, Carson had just came off a decommitment from Alabama. Mm-hmm. The reason he decommits is because Loxley goes to Maryland, Dan Enos goes to Miami, and there's nobody he knows at Alabama anymore in the offensive meeting room. And he reopens his recruitment. Now, people will go on a tangent here, and they're going to like, well, we know how the Carson Beck story ended, right? Well, that would have been a totally different story. But what I remember from that is Todd was like, had the clairvoyance, I would say, to say, listen, let's go get this guy. And it's a different position specialty that he tried to do.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And I still think, Hartley does this every year where he meets the media, he meets the beat, and all the beat writers are charmed to the effect that that's a future head coach.
Guys got juice, man.
Yeah. He knows how to do it with the Braves, and he knows how to sound like a regular guy, and because that's what Hartley is. He's a regular guy. And all the recruits I talk to, they're like, he is the most relentless guy ever. And then also, I remember talking to Jackson Dollar's family. They're like, there's no way he was going to go to Georgia. They have so many tight ends there. And then they start talking to Todd, and Todd starts working his magic. All of a sudden, they're like, we love Georgia. It's just what he does over and over again.
We got a peak audience right now. I want to give one more shout out to our friends over at SeatGeek. When we get back, we have an Ole Miss preview for you guys.
SeatGeek or?
Oh, sorry. Our friends over at Hard Rock Bet. Hey, football brain. It happens to me all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor over at Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook. Rivalries, trash talk, and bragging rights are all a part of the game of college football that we all love so much. But there's one thing college football fans can all agree on. Hard Rock Bet is easy, safe, and trusted with thousands of 5-star reviews. You can back your favorite football team all season long from the couch, hanging out at the tailgate, or even inside the stadium, especially for our friends down there in the state of Florida. Hard Rock Bet knows college football in Florida. They're Florida's only legal betting app on college football. But you don't have to live in the state of Florida to join the party. Hard Rock Bet's got going on. They're also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan, with more states on the way. So if you don't have the Hard Rock Bet app yet, head over to hardrock.bet/film guy. That's hardrock.bet/film guy. Get the party started on Hard Rock Bet today. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER today. Please gamble responsibly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we have an Ole Miss preview for you guys. Ole Miss going to be played at Oxford November 7th. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
I remember that because I will not be there. I will be in South Bend for Miami, Notre Dame, hopefully. Let's cross our fingers on that one. Might have to get some favors done to get up there for that one. But no, it's a massive football game, a revenge opportunity for the University of Georgia on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
These guys got you there the last time you were there in Oxford, and they got you in the Sugar Bowl, which leads me to my first question. Are you going to get the better of Trinidad Chambliss finally in your crack number 3 against this guy? Because he's lit you up twice.
We did this segment heading into the Sugar Bowl of, I can't name the quarterback that's lit you up twice. That happened.
That happened.
I can't name the Georgia quarterback or the quarterback that's lit up a Kirby Smart defense thrice. So that's
fool me twice.
that's right.
Fool me 3 times. It's my bad.
Can't get fool me again.
Can't get fooled again.
So, that's the hope. But I think that the more realistic hope this year would be is that the team around Trinidad has deteriorated to a point where it might not be, hey, Trinidad can just will this team to a national or to a win. I don't like they barely did it in the Sugar Bowl. He couldn't do it in Sanford Stadium in Athens. So hopefully the team is a little bit worse so that you don't necessarily have to fully stop Trinidad.
I think Georgia defensively is going to be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you and I have probably talked about this sometimes on sidelines for like the last 2 seasons. It feels like not a lot of confidence in this safety position at Georgia, especially if you had to go, but perhaps after the starter level. You saw Kyron Jones, you saw Ja'Cory Thomas leave that game last year as well.
Yeah.
I think that team in Athens feels like they've got maybe 3 or 4 good safeties now, including KJ Bolden, the first rounder, and they like their nickels now a lot better with Khalil Barnes and some of the young guys. And I'm of the opinion you got to look at this 2 ways. You got to sit there and say, is Georgia just going to be better defensively? Are they going to get home more with 4? Are they going to get to the passer more? Or this is probably the best. This is probably an easiest take we'll have all night. I don't think Georgia has ever had a pair of corners and a pair of safeties like they do this year. And you drop the nickel corner in there, and that's with all due respect to some Kamari Lassiter and Dalen Everett teams and some Javon Bullard teams and Dan Jackson teams. But there's that school of thought. But then there's also, dude, I just think Trinidad is kind of a magician out there. I really do.
Yeah.
Like one of those things I saw in the Sugar Bowl, and I hear coaches all the time saying he was good enough to make us right. And, the Georgia fan can have a really great take about how if Drew Bobo doesn't get hurt and Ja'Cory Thomas doesn't get thrown out and Gabe Harris is playing in that game, and then even Nate Frazier on that last drive, who's not a part of that when they're down at the goal line. Trinidad had some of those things on his own football team because, guys, that's football. You get to that point of the season, you're going to have, this guy, or what about this guy if we only had this guy? And Trinidad is able to, in my own way, it looked like he was just, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm touching the ball every play, and I get 4 shots at you to get 10 yards. I'm going to take this money all day long. And I think that's what Trinidad gives you the ability to do.
We've returned to that Sugar Bowl tape quite a bit this offseason. And it's why he had every single answer in that football game. He played flawless for 4 quarters. And he did that a lot last year against a lot of football teams.
Played flawless for 8 quarters against Georgia.
Yeah, I think the only quote unquote bad game he had, and I think he had 350 total yards of offense, was against Miami. He had like 4 interceptable footballs in that football game. A bunch of them got dropped, and Miami fans will be quick to remind you of that. You guys hit the nail on the head, though. Georgia's better defensively, and I think Ole Miss is, for my money, considerably worse offensively than they were last year. They have to replace 2 offensive tackles. They got to replace 5 of their top 6 pass catchers from a year ago. We love Deuce Alexander on this channel. I know you love Deuce Alexander coming out of Douglas County High School as well. I know you love Hilton Alexander, his dad, as a wide receiver specialist. But I don't think they replaced Dejon Stribling and Caden Lee, and I don't think they replaced those with that quality of football player.
No.
We talked about this a little bit in the National Hour a couple nights ago, but they still got Kewan Lacey, and they still got Trinidad Chambliss, and they still have an offense that is going to be relatively elite.
And I want to point out something before we go off air here that I think gets very underrated from this game, from the Sugar Bowl in comparison to what happened in Athens. There was a solid 5 to 6 drive period where Georgia's offense just stalled. Couldn't move the ball really.
That damn Mike Bobo.
And blame who you want for that. Say whatever you want. Obviously going touchdowns every single drive is not something you should demand like you did in the first game. I don't think you can have that period where there is 15, 20 minutes of clock coming off the board and you haven't scored anything. And that's where it was for Georgia. Thank God you got a scoop and score to kind of supplement that. But the second half started and Georgia had a 9-point lead and it just very quickly withered away because they couldn't get anything going on offense. And I think that's a very underrated part of it. And I think that's what happens in the interior offensive line.
Now, I do think they've gotten slightly worse offensively, but their defense is going to be considerably better this year, Ole Miss, I think, than it was last year.
In the secondary, at least.
Yeah, secondary. And I mean, even the interior of that defensive line, Will Eccles and Makai Barrow are going to be really, really solid defensive tackles for them. Cam Franklin comes back, so Taryn Perkins still on this roster. So they're going to be good on the defensive side of the football. A lot of their additions, Jonah Aguero on that defense now over there as well. So a lot of their additions have come on the defensive side of the football this offseason, the quality ones. I'm not talking Jonte Cooks.
I think we need more data. Like, I think even Kirby mentioned this fall about how, or they've kind of studied the layoff and, what that does and, how do you try to fix that layoff. I don't know if, listen, I've talked to so many Georgia fans that are like, dude, I haven't missed a Georgia game in 35 years, but if they go back to the Sugar Bowl, I'm probably going to tap that one out.
I'm good on Harrah's Casino.
Yeah.
I'm good.
But I just feel like the first one was Carson Beck, catastrophic injury to your football team, right? And the whole thing about, does this time off? Are you buying that? Are you buying that degrades your football team 20% from where it was at its height?
No, I think those 2 football games were lost because Notre Dame beat your butt in the middle 8, and you never lose the middle 8, and they boxed you in the middle 8. And then there was an ungodly quarterback performance is what I think lost those 2 football games. Not we were sitting at home for 5 weeks and we didn't have an opportunity to play.
I'm going to try and tie 2 segments together here with this take here, and it's the Gunnar Stockton improvement year 2 versus the Ole Miss preview kind of a little bit with Georgia versus Ole Miss. To me, the Gunnar Stockton improvement for me will be if he can make Georgia right when everything else is wrong. Maybe that's drop passes. Maybe that's doesn't have a clear go-to receiver or his number 1 guy's out. Maybe he finds a new guy and starts feeding Jaden Riddell or Ethan Barbour or something like that. If Gunnar can do that, which is what is the calling card for Trinidad Chambliss, to me, that would be a solid second-year improvement for Gunnar Stockton.
What a great way to end it tonight. Southern Dog hits the nail on the head right here. It says, absolute banger of a show tonight. Thanks for the visit, Jeff. Hope we can see this more. I don't know. I think we got a tremendous favor by our friends over there at Dog Nation as well. I want to thank your employers for allowing this to happen. That was awesome. And obviously, thank you, man. Like, you mentioned being on the sidelines together. It's going to be something that I'm going to miss this year when I'm not in Athens every single weekend, not seeing your face and being able to talk ball with you on the sidelines.
Come up to the press box and hang out with me.
Yeah, come up to the press box and hang out with Christian and Jonathan.
It's so funny. We can never be wired for this, but there's so many times in games, Brooks and I'll be walking by each other. He'll be going to one sideline, I'll be going the other. And I was like, are you seeing what they're doing with that personnel package? You're like, what are they doing? So-and-so's out of the game. Look at what they're trying. That guy's already in the game. It's kind of going to be like, where is that guy now that I can sit there and kind of be like Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to?
We're in the press box. Come find us.
Nah, man, it'll be something that I miss for damn sure this year. But You're a good friend, and I appreciate all the time that we get to spend together, especially these 2 hours. We've never done anything like this, and it was a blast, man. I appreciate you driving all the way out here, brother.
Yeah, man. Like I said, friends and friends means friends of the show sometime too. And like, hey, all the audience out there enjoying us or whatever, he's got a great show. We've got a great show every Wednesday night called Before the Hedges, where we talk about all things Georgia recruiting.
Absolutely. Hey, that man Jeff Santel, let's give him 3. It doesn't ring as loud without 3 people clapping in here, but the chat will love it. The chat will give them 3. Hey, we will be back tomorrow. Oh, we'll not be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow morning with a film study for you guys. I think I'm going to put out Lenora Sellers tomorrow just for you SEC fans. Appreciate you being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. I love you. More importantly, Jesus loves you.
Do I hit stop streaming or end broadcast?
Both.